and Nick.
Welcome to That Superhero Thing podcast, where we discuss the latest superhero and comic book movies and TV shows. I'm your host, Nick, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Anthony.
Hello.
Hello, you alright?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. How are you doing?
I am good. I can't believe we've got through the Loki Countdown already. It feels quick.
Yeah, it's gone dead quick.
And next week we've got Loki.
I know. I'm so excited.
But at the same time, I am really excited, but I think they've done quite well with the trailers and stuff, because I've literally got no idea what to expect.
I know.
And obviously, we've got a general idea as to where it's going, but it just... I don't really know, like, there's like no spoilers out there or anything like that, and there's normally
I for some reason, I feel like it's going to be like, not to the same level, but Suicide Squaddy time fixes.
Suicide Squaddy time fixes. They should call it that.
But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they're kind of villains, but not at the same time, and they're fixing what's going on.
Even the TVA, I suppose, are kind of...
Yeah, I don't know.
Villains.
But
anyway.
we'll see. We'll find out next week.
We will see,
or, well, we won't. We won't find out in week one.
No, we'll find out what's going on at the end of episode 6, like when
Yeah.
it's pretty much wrapping up, and we'll all think it's Mephisto all the way through. That'll be it.
Or the X-Men.
Oh no, yeah, X-Men and Mephisto. It's X-Men and Mephisto. It's gotta be. So on this week's show, we've got quite a lot to go through, as we always do. But we have actually this week, we've got 2 movies to go through because Disney changed things up. So we are going. Not that it
And
wasn't,
then didn't
it's not
follow
good,
through.
and then didn't follow through. Not that it's not good, because we get to what we've been able to watch, shall we say, Infinity War and Endgame in 1 week. So
Yeah.
and, you know, they're boss films, aren't they?
I mean, to be fair, I
Spoilers.
started watching them back to back.
Yeah.
So I took a break in the middle of Infinity War, but then when I finished Infinity War, Endgame went straight on.
Yeah, I got you.
And then I took another break
So
halfway
you
through
had,
Endgame.
you had your own personal little intermissions
Yeah.
in the middle of the movies.
I
but
fell
not
asleep.
in the middle. You fell asleep, yeah.
It's basically
No,
what
fair
happened.
play.
It was getting late, and I was like, I can't do any more.
That's
Pause.
all right. It's like 6 hours of movies.
I know, yeah.
It's a long time.
I don't have that amount of time in a day to myself.
No, yeah. I
That's
don't.
the problem.
With kids.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Also,
Nightmare.
I watched MODOK.
Did you? How many
Yeah.
episodes?
I've watched the first 2.
Is that
'Cause
all that's out
on
in the
Disney
UK?
so far, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've only seen episode 1 first. Did you like it?
Bit shit, innit?
I quite liked episode 1.
Nah.
No.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's great. I just sat and watched it and was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of them
It's
where
different.
I think if I missed an episode, I probably wouldn't really notice.
No, possibly not.
Like, it's just okay.
Meh.
Like, I don't know how else to put it. I'm not feeling it.
I think there's been quite... I mean, this is completely going on script. We're like 2 minutes into this and we're digressing massively.
Sorry.
But that, if you're new to the podcast, that's just what we do. So, yeah, I think a lot of the reviews have been, like, mediocre rather
Have
than
they?
anyone thinking it's absolutely
But-
brilliant.
Yeah, but I can see why.
I thought it was all right after episode 1.
Mm.
But all right.
Wait till you watch episode
Not
2.
brilliant. All right, I might give it a go. Maybe I won't bother, because apparently it's not worth watching. Anyway, there's quite a lot of news to go through this week as well. So we've got Secret Invasion news. We've got Kraven the Hunter news, which came out just after we recorded last week. So I know
Yeah.
we're a little bit late to the party, but we're going to do it anyway. We've got Thor Love and Thunder news. There's quite a bit of What If news. And then non-Marvel related, we've got some Joker news. There hasn't been Joker news for a while.
No.
Green Lantern news. Some Jupiter's Legacy news, or not good new Jupiter's Legacy news, and there's no Justice League news, which is a first in a little while. After we've gone through the news,
been 84 years.
After we've finished with the news, we're going to be finishing up our Loki Countdown as part of the Loki Takeover, as we've said, with Infinity War and Endgame, and then we'll be discussing listeners' thoughts and theories in our newly titled segment. Should we tell them now? Yeah, we'll tell them now. We'll just save a little bit of... I don't know, the jingle. We've got a jingle.
Yeah.
We've got a jingle. We'll tell you later.
It's a thing.
It's called... We've decided to call it Pod Fans Assemble. That is now the segment. We're not calling it Ridiculous Theories because it sounds like I think all your theories are ridiculous. And they're not. Some are, but most of them aren't. No names. No, they're all good. It's normally mine, though. Crap. But we're going to call it Pod Fans Assemble. We've got a jingle. It's fun. You might like it. Let us know if you don't.
And we'll ignore you.
We won't do anything about it. We will put, if you want to skip straight to Podfans Assemble, we'll put,
You'll do what?
I don't know. I'm not even going to edit this out. We will put timestamps in the description There will be spoilers when we go through Infinity War and Endgame. There might be potential spoilers in some bits of the news and some speculation. We don't normally get it right, but I think some of the news this week, particularly around What If, could be a little bit spoilery as to what episodes are happening. And then next week, just to let you know, we are doing the Loki Takeover continued, but we're actually doing the Loki episode 1, as we've said. And we've said we're excited, so we'll go through it again. If you enjoy the show, please do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, or to be fair, wherever you get podcasts. It means a lot. It helps us out massively. It helps us get noticed. So that would be brilliant if you're enjoying it. Should we do news?
Yeah.
News,
go for
then.
it.
We're going to do Marvel first. We normally do DC, but I've got Marvel first this week.
Let's do it.
Just to change it up, because we're crazy like that, me and you. we're gonna
be like crazy cats.
Be really mental and do Marvel news first. So a bit of WandaVision news this week, kind of. So Jack Schaefer, who was the head writer on WandaVision, it's been reported there by comicbookmovie.com that after the success as being the head writer and showrunner on WandaVision, she's now signed a 3-year overall deal with Marvel and 20th Century TV to develop TV content. So I think it's like a first look type of thing. Yeah. That's good though, because WandaVision was brilliant. It was it was a good show anyway, but I think because of how different it was to anything we'd had before, I'm quite excited to see what else she can do with other more Marvel projects. And I like the fact that they've mentioned 20th Century TV as well, because we could get some other, things that we've not seen in Marvel before, maybe like X-Men related or something like that. So that will be good. Secret Invasion news. Deadline reporting that Christopher McDonald has signed on to Secret Invasion. Christopher McDonald, who I didn't know who was either. You won't know, clearly.
No idea.
He played Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore. Have you seen Happy Gilmore?
Yes, I've seen Happy Gilmore.
You've seen Happy Gilmore.
Who is Shooter McGavin?
The bad guy? The guy who Adam Sandler plays against?
The one that's always like that.
Always like what? No one can see, Anthony. It's a podcast.
Oh yeah. Like he's always got angry face.
He's the bad guy
with the grey hair.
No, he's got like red hair. He's the bad guy. All the listeners are sitting there thinking, "God, Anthony, have you even seen?"
I've seen Happy Gilmore. It's all in the hip.
So the listeners know who he is. Anthony might not know who he is, but we know who he is. So the report says he's playing a newly created character. Can't talk. A newly created character who could end up crossing over into movies as well. Okay. Surely he's got to be a Skrull. He looks like he doesn't look like a Skrull, but he's a bad guy. I don't think I've ever seen him play anything other than a bad guy in films. Not like pure evil, but he's always he's never the hero. Okay. In films, so I don't know. I think he might be a Skrull. Anyway, Kraven the Hunter news, which, as we said, broke just after we recorded last week because shit happens, doesn't it? Yeah. Sony Pictures has announced that Aaron Taylor Johnson has been cast as Kraven in the spin-off movie. He is like a classic Spider-Man villain, but the movie isn't coming out until January 2023. But he has signed for multiple movies apparently, so he could end up popping up in other movies sooner. Oh. Potentially like one of the, I don't know, could be in Venom.
Could be.
Although he probably would have filmed that by now, wouldn't he? Morbius, maybe.
I thought Morbius had finished filming now.
It probably has. Maybe I don't know. What else is there? There's always new Spider-Verse movies. There's like a Black Cat one. Do you remember when they were doing that Aunt May one?
No.
They were making an Aunt May film, and it was basically just about a young Aunt May solving crimes. Shockingly, that didn't go through. But it would have been a perfect jumping off point for a young Kraven the Hunter, maybe. Maybe. It's not. I don't know.
Anyway.
What do you think? What do you think about Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven?
I don't know, because with the now kind of overlapping from Sony to Marvel,
and there's a lot of talk about them merging these two universes.
Yeah. It's like he would now be officially the first one to play two different characters in Marvel.
No,
wouldn't he?
Gemma Chan played Minerva in Captain Marvel, and she's going to be in the Eternals as Cersei.
Oh,
but she was all fully made up. She was blue.
Yeah, see, you can get away with stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, but so, a really prominent character.
Yeah.
That's who people have already been reminded of, in WandaVision.
Minutes ago. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Being recast and all that sort of stuff. It will be weird. But I don't know whether if they could go down the multiverse route. I suppose if we are getting in Spider-Man No Way Home a Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker, it's showing that they can look completely different. So it could just be that he just ends up looking like that.
There's actually a guy who's done a TikTok this week, and he's talked about all of that. Wanda having a brother who doesn't look like her brother, but then finding Craven, who is a man who looks like her brother, and all this, and it just gets so confusing.
It is confusing. I don't know if I like it. I wonder whether Marvel knew or have had anything to do with this.
I don't think they would
just
have
found out.
I think
Kevin
just
Feige's going to be sat there fuming. Yeah, like not happy at all at the fact that he's going to completely ball. He's going to be sat there now thinking, "You are not joining in this universe."
He's phoning Aaron, going, "What did you do?
What are you doing, Aaron?" Yeah, well, maybe we'll find out in like a week that Aaron's going to be coming back as Quicksilver now, and he's scrapped.
Yeah.
He's scrapped Craven. I don't know how I feel about it. He's a good actor, but I think my biggest issue is the fact that we're supposed to be getting these universes merged, and it's just going to be a proper messy.
Yeah,
I'm not too happy about that. But anyway, I don't get a say.
We'll
see. I think it's going to depend how well Morbius does, because I think if Morbius doesn't absolutely kill it at the box office, which is probably not going to, but I think if it doesn't get really good reviews as well, it might sort of sideline
maybe
all these spin-off movies. Anyway, we've talked about Sony Spider-Verse far too long. Other news then, so some proper Marvel news. It's been reported by The Hollywood Reporter, because that's what they do, they report on stuff, that we are getting an Okoye Disney Plus series.
I love Okoye.
You love Okoye? He does. So this obviously The Hollywood Reporter, the ones reporting on it, but apparently Danai Gurira's lawyer is the one who told them that she'll be doing an origin series. He's like blagging the fact that he sorted it out, and he's like brokered the deal apparently. It's going to be coming next year, so same year as Black Panther 2. So I don't know whether it's obviously going to be a prequel because it's an origin series, but
it's because their jurisdiction
part of the setup
is where they find themselves. So
wherever they want. If they want to land in 2022, they'll land in 2022.
Exactly.
Yeah. If they want to be 2024, if next week, that's absolutely fine. They'll just have to film really quick. Thor: Love and Thunder news. So there's a couple of bits of Thor news this week. The Daily Mail have had some set pics, which I'm sure everyone's seen online, of a not fat Thor. You haven't seen him. I know I asked you this before. He's basically, it's Thor in what looks like 80s workout gear. I don't know why it looks like 80s, because he could have borrowed it off Star-Lord, because he's from the 80s maybe. It's crying out for a training montage. Yeah. We need like a proper 80s, like Rocky style training montage of Fat Thor getting fit. That's what we need.
With Rocket being like 1, 2, 3, or Korg.
Yeah, Rocket and Korg training him. Brilliant.
Korg eating potato chips while watching Thor work out.
Yeah. I think it just shows. We obviously talked about Thor Ragnarok last week. I think a few other podcasts have covered it this week as well, as part of like the Loki.
Yeah.
Don't listen to any of the podcasts, just listen to ours. But not everyone seems to love how comedic the film is.
Really?
I think a few people have got a bit of a problem with it, saying it's not. It's a comedy and it should be an action film with some comedy in it. I mean, it is a funny film, and I think from what we've seen of Thor, and particularly this, it confirms it's going down like a heavy comedy route again, I would imagine. But I haven't got a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. I think as long as they don't I think we talked about it last week, Thor's like perfectly balanced on this line of being a bit of a goofball, but also being like a badass and a hero. Yeah. As long as they don't take him into just being a bit of an idiot, I'm fine with it. Throw as much comedy as possible. Chris Hemsworth on his Instagram also revealed this week that they've wrapped filming on Thor as well, and he put a picture of him just, I can't think of a better word than like smouldering at the camera with like this proper pout. That's what he's doing, isn't he?
He's so funny.
And Taika in costume as Korg as well. But not that I noticed it was Korg. It took me about a week to figure out that it was Korg, because I missed the floating head above him. I just didn't see it. But that's brilliant. Again, I know it. Films finish filming, don't they? But I feel like with us having been in the pandemic, to see something finished again and like ready to now just go into post-production, it's obviously,
it just gets you more excited, doesn't it, for it all again?
Yeah, it means it's hopefully not going to get delayed, which is a perfect segue. We didn't even plan that, but there have been some Marvel delays. So 2 Marvel projects, untitled Marvel projects, have been pushed back. So there was one Marvel movie, Untitled, which was supposed to be coming out on the 7th of October next year. It's been pushed back to the 6th of October the following year. So it's been pushed back a whole year. And then the other one was supposed to come out November 3rd, 2023, but it's been pushed back a week to November 10th. Again, there's no confirmation as to what these movies are. I think people are speculating maybe Blade, Fantastic Four, because they've not been given set dates yet.
Maybe.
We just know they're being made. But I can't think of anything else that hasn't had a proper date that's been talked
The
about
only thing
in
I could
production.
think is if they're, because they're obviously they plan so far ahead now with everything coming out.
Yeah.
Maybe they've just gone at this point, that's not going to fit at this point in time with the rest of the films, so push it back a year.
Well, we've had to push things back anyway, haven't we?
Yeah,
Because
no, I
of
get
COVID,
that.
yeah.
But I'm just thinking maybe it's something to do with that rather than it being we haven't got time to make it right now.
Yeah, it's probably just, you'll probably find that because of like the COVID pandemic and things have been pushed back, it might have slightly changed the order of things, and they might have had to change story elements.
Yeah.
So it's probably just, I mean, we trust in Marvel, I suppose, don't you?
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll end up working out. If it is Blade, though, I'm a bit gutted because I wanted that as soon. And Fantastic Four. I hope. I don't know. They're both 2023, aren't they? So it doesn't really matter which is which.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, it would have been nice if we were getting Fantastic Four.
I mean, they're going to be a month apart.
Those two movies, they are only going to be a month apart.
Yeah.
How's that going to work?
Don't know.
Someone's going to have to move, unless one of them is Sony related, Spider-Man related.
No idea.
Don't know. Didn't even think of that. Well done, Anthony.
You're welcome.
World's greatest detective over there. Some what if news. So there's lots of what if news this week. So it's now been confirmed by Disney Plus that it is coming in August, because I think there was speculation that it could be August this year. They've not set a date yet, but it's been confirmed in a press release. They also announced that the final series of Walking Dead in the UK isn't going to go on Sky. It's going to go on Disney Plus on 23rd of August. Yeah. Which is crazy that The Walking Dead's on Disney Plus, but that's not the right. That's wrong bit of news. But yeah, August, some point in August, that'll be good. With regards to the episodes, again, we mentioned that this could be spoilers. They might not be right, but I think one of them's pretty much bang on. To be fair, the Illuminati is reporting that the Party Thor episode. If you remember, there were some pictures of like a part of like. Said Party Thor in some of the concept art.
Yeah.
It's basically going to be set around what if Thor 1 never happened. So if he didn't get banished to Earth and sort of like learn not to be an idiot.
Oh, okay.
And he just stays like a bit of a tit, I think, as we said he was. And he does come to Earth, but he comes to Earth to hold a massive intergalactic party instead. And apparently it like potentially is going to wipe out the Earth by him being there and having this massive party. So
Love it.
quite like a bit of a fun episode, it sounds, to be fair. And then Amazon France, I think it was leaked, or they put it up by accident. There was a Lego set went up there. I think it was Thursday it went up, and it showed basically the Lego set was Sakari and Iron Man, and it's got the Watcher Tony in like a big Hulkbuster style suit. And it's got Valkyrie in there as well.
We
so
said also
lands on
down to the t-shirt that he was wearing at the time, didn't
he
we?
is, yeah. It looks like he's got the Led Zeppelin t-shirt on the figure, which I would imagine means that when he went through the wormhole at the end of Avengers 1, he didn't come back, and Valkyrie's obviously picked him up.
Yeah.
I think that'd be
quite cool.
If that's really going to be an episode, I think that's going to be absolutely brilliant. I mean, they all look good, to be fair, but considering we've not had any inkling that was going to happen, I think that'd be really interesting. Last bit of Marvel news: the Avengers campus in Disney, California, opened. Had its own big opening ceremony. I think on Wednesday it was.
Yeah.
It looks quite good. I mean, it's a theme park. There's no sort
job,
of
isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. There was, I think, Paul Rudd, Jon Favreau, and Anthony Mackie, and Kevin Feige obviously did the opening ceremony.
Oh, did they?
They did, yeah. Now, something I thought was good is a lot of the promo material, because this was supposed to open a year ago, but obviously got delayed because of COVID. A lot of the promo material had like Steve Rogers' version of Cap walking around, and they announced at the opening ceremony that they're basically not going to have Steve Rogers' Cap. It's going to be Sam Wilson version of Cap, and they basically brought on the actor who's going to be the Sam Wilson version of Cap, and then Anthony Mackie presented him with a shield in the little brown bag, with, like Steve did. So I thought that was quite good. There's a Spider-Man ride as well. I think Spider-Man Web Slingers, which I'm dead honest looks a bit pants.
Does it?
Yeah, I don't really like the look of it. It's just like the whole thing is just like it's like a game. It's like you have to like, I don't know how, it must like sense your hands. Yeah, basically, and score points, but it looks a bit boring to me, to be fair. And then something I thought looked really good is there's a Pym. I can't remember the full name of the restaurant, but it's like a Pym Particles restaurant, and they've got this like, I can't believe we're talking about food on the podcast, but it's Marvel related, so whatever. The big specialty is that it's like giant pretzels, and they've got like this screen, and you see like the pretzel go in, and then it's like a quantum tunnel, and it expands, and then you get this like massive foot-long pretzel.
That's
and
quite cool.
I thought it was dead interesting, yeah. But yeah, so apparently that is open. That's open now. So yeah, Kevin Feige, if you want us to come and do some reporting there, that's fine.
Let us know.
I'm free. I will book some holidays off work. DC news. We've got some Green Lantern news. So the HBO Max series has found its director in a guy called Lee Toland Krieger. He's done a few bits. He's directed Age of Adeline, which I've not seen, but he's also done series Riverdale, Sabrina, and he did some episodes of Superman and Lois as well.
Oh, okay.
Which I think they've got like a very distinct style, haven't they? Them. So
it's
not my cup of tea.
It's quite colourless
and teen angsty.
Yeah.
I hope we're not going down that route. I mean, I don't know how excited I am for a Green Lantern series.
Yeah,
to be honest,
it's filming. The best way to describe it is it's kind of a bit live action Tim Burton-y.
Yeah.
In the sense of it's all quite dark colours. They don't tend to have a lot of bright colours in it at all.
No.
And I've watched most of Riverdale. I've watched all of Sabrina.
Oh, have you? Okay.
And I've been watching Lois and Superman as well.
Is that the same? Is that the same sort of
vibe? There's not a lot of colour in it. Again, it's strange. The only time you really see colour in Superman and Lois is Superman's outfit.
Oh, is it?
That's pretty much it. It's all kind of quite neutral colours. Other than that, a bit darker and stuff.
Well, we'll see what happens. There's been some casting news as well. A guy called Jeremy Irvine, who was in War Horse, and apparently he was in Mamma Mia too. But I haven't seen that. I haven't seen War Horse either. But
I've seen both.
Do you know who Jeremy?
How often does this happen, please?
Wow, we are. We've definitely got into the multiverse on the podcast because Anthony's seen everything I haven't. But he's been cast as Alan. He's been cast as Alan Scott, who is like the 1940s Green Lantern. So apparently the show is going to span different time periods, and you're going to see Green Lanterns from different time periods. So Finn Wittrock, who we've already mentioned, is going to be in it from American Horror Story. Yeah, he's going to be Guy Gardner, and that's going to be set in the 80s. So we're going to jump between the two. Joker news: The Hollywood Reporter is saying that Todd Phillips has signed on to co-write Joker 2, not directing it at this stage. Bit crazy though, because him and Joaquin Phoenix have both previously been quoted as saying that they didn't even know it was happening and they denied any involvement. And I think it was only like a couple of weeks ago when that hashtag show announced that it was on the cards and it was happening, and now Todd Phillips is co-writing the movie. So this is going to sound really bad because we do a superhero podcast. I've not seen Joker.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah,
this is crazy. Something else I've not seen and Anthony has seen. I think people seem to really like it, but I think it's like the general public seem to really like it, and I don't get the impression that the comic book fans really like it.
It's the spiral of a man suffering from a severe psychosis and depression,
that's
rather
deep,
than it being
a comic book
villain
who is just. It's basically. I take it as like it's a film about.
So you know
what you've just said, and they've basically turned it into a Joker film to sell more tickets.
So you know that like the whole idea is that he's got the condition that makes him laugh uncontrollably. Yeah. And he's like really segregated by that. He pushes himself away and stuff like that, and he just gets to a point where he snaps. That's essentially what it is.
Is it good? Do you think it was good?
I think it was good if I don't go into it looking at it as the Joker.
Right. Just like it's just its own movie. It's all right. Yeah. Are you excited for a sequel?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, I just don't know where it's going to go.
I haven't seen. I kind of know what happens, but yeah, I couldn't really see where a number 2 was going to go. I just don't. I don't get it. There's no mention. To be fair, there's no mention yet of Joaquin Phoenix being in it. So I wonder whether it's going to be a different guy, someone who's like just the same inspired by him or something. I don't know. Yeah. Could be anything. Well, I'm sure there'll be now that that's come out. It seems the news seems to be moving quite quick on it. So yeah, hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll find out a little bit more about it. And then non-Marvel, non-DC news. We've got a bit of Jupiter's Legacy news. So Mark Miller himself on Twitter has announced that there is not going to be a season 2 of Jupiter's Legacy. Human. Oh yeah, I am actually quite annoyed. I didn't. We covered this a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. We covered episode 1. Yeah, we just kind of dipped into it slightly, didn't we? You carried on watching it, and I watched the rest of it.
it was a slow starter. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But I liked where they were taking it, and that's what's really annoying.
See, that's what I've heard. I've heard people saying the actual series itself is a bit crap, but it's a really good setup for a second series, and the second series will be brilliant off the back of it.
Yeah.
But it's not happening. Not happening.
There's so much going on, and the backstory surprised me a hell of a lot as well.
Oh, did it?
About how they got their powers and stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's that whole journey within it as well.
Yeah, kind of jumping through different
time. It took a little bit too long, in my opinion.
Oh, right.
And I think that's where it might have fallen a little bit, with critics and stuff like that. Because I think it did take a little bit too long to get that story going.
Yeah.
But by the time you got to the end of the series, I was kind of like, okay, I'm ready to find out what happens next, and then.
And no, it's not.
Now it's not.
I wonder whether... I mean, it looked a bit bland to me, which is why I didn't carry on watching it. But I think the other reason I didn't watch it is because there's so much other stuff out there now.
Do you know what it reminded me of?
What?
It reminded me a bit of Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Did it?
Yeah.
In what way?
Because basically it jumps back to them getting like how they
got the powers.
Started and how they got their powers.
Yeah.
And it was a boat journey to an island.
Oh, was it?
And because of the period and stuff like that, it
looked the same.
But the filming style and everything also had similarities and things as they're approaching the island, and you've got shots of the boat and then shots of the island and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was quite cool the way they did it. I liked it. Again, I thought it was a bit different, because it's not heroes that have always had the power. It's people who've been gifted something.
Yeah.
And as I say, I just would have liked to have seen where it went next.
Well, we are, even though we're not getting a series 2, we're getting a spin-off
instead, aren't we?
The spin-off has already been sort of started. So the spin-off is called Super Crooks.
Yeah.
And it's another Mark Millar property. It sounds to me like it's a heist movie, but it's a load of villains. So it's basically the Suicide Squad doing a heist, or their version.
Suicide Squad meets Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11, yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
But it's set in the same universe as Jupiter's Legacy, so we are
But they've all
potentially
been
going to
released
get...
from their contracts.
I know, so we are potentially going to get characters from that, but the fact that they've all been released from the contract would maybe suggest they're going to try and have a bit of a clean slate. Yeah. And if they bring them in, don't bring them in. I think the issue you've got at the moment is the whole market, particularly with obviously anything comic book related, to be fair, at the moment it's everywhere, which is great because that's why we do this podcast.
But it means you've got to do really good for it to get anywhere.
I think the fact that Marvel are now into TV is probably going to make it very difficult for anything non-Marvel or DC or basically anything new that people haven't heard of to make a start, because they've brought this out smack bang in the middle of WandaVision and Falcon the Winter Soldier. Or was it just after Falcon the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, just after.
Well, it was a week after, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But while people are still catching up on it, and while people are getting excited for Loki, and if you try and bring in a new property, it's just going to be like, well, I'm all right. I'll wait for, I'll catch up on this, or I'll catch up on that, and I'll wait for that. And I think now, because Marvel are into the TV area, like proper into the TV area, I think anything's going to struggle. I think it's going to have to be like, I was going to say big names, but I mean, it had relatively big names in it anyway. I think it's going to have to be something really, really well marketed.
Well, that's why, because the thing is, they've not really talked about Marvel. They were talking more about them being pitted off against the stuff that Amazon's bringing out. So like The Boys.
Yeah, so I suppose The Boys has done really well.
Because it has, yeah.
But
The Boys started before WandaVision came out, so
it did. But do you not think the marketing for The Boys was really good?
Yeah.
Did you see really much marketing for Jupiter's Legacy at all?
No.
You didn't, did you?
No.
I think unless you're into this, I mean, we're into this sort of thing, and I didn't even realize what it was. One of our listeners, the Terrible Hook, messaged me and said, "I'm looking forward to this. What would want to see your thoughts on it?"
Yeah.
And it's like we've literally, I didn't even know what it was, and we're into this medium exactly. Yeah. Whereas The Boys was it probably wasn't as saturated the market when it came out.
Yeah.
But it was marketed really, really well, and I think hopefully they'll learn from that with this Super Crooks, and it'll be good. Anyway, that's the news for this week. Shall we crack on with the our last Loki countdown? I'm a bit sad.
Yeah.
I'm a bit sad on the last Loki countdown. We've got the rest of it. We've got the rest of it going forward, but yeah. So we're gonna do Infinity War first. We're gonna do Endgame after that, obviously. Because why would we? Maybe we'll just be really crazy and do Endgame first. We're not. No. So
I think we're already being crazy by doing both.
I think we are absolutely mental trying to do both. So because it's two really long movies, we're not gonna do a full breakdown of everything in the movie. No. We're going to do a general run through like we did last week with Thor Ragnarok and the week before. Because we're going to do like a bit of a general rundown, some of the things we talk about, just to warn people before we get messages saying that didn't happen then, it might not all be in the exact order as it happens on screen. It's just going to be like the general story going through. So we did notice that when we were writing it all down. So so we'll start with Infinity War then. So it starts off, Thanos has got the Power Stone from Xandar. Him and his children have hijacked the Asgardian ship. I assume they've killed 50% of those who's on board. They beat Thor, beat Hulk, who gets bifrosted because I can't think of another word. He gets bifrosted to Earth by Heimdall. Heimdall
it's so
gets
weird
killed.
though, because you see Hulk really go to town on Thanos at first in that point.
Yeah, but he's just taking it.
And then Thanos just goes, well, he says something along the lines of
let him have his fun.
Let him have his fun.
Ebony Moore says let him have his fun.
And then it just suddenly completely turns. It's like, wow.
I know.
And that's when you start to see,
oh shit,
he's
this
powerful.
guy's tough, innit? Yeah. So Hulk gets sent back to Earth. Heimdall gets killed. I was gutted over that. And then Loki gets killed, which we'll talk about a bit more in a second. And then Thanos takes a Tesseract, destroys the ship, and basically leaves Thor for dead. So the very first thing I want to say about this, and I think I've mentioned this before. I think we mentioned it on like a YouTube video, and we did it on Geek and H channel. I think the fact that there's no previously, not that any of the Marvel fans films have got like a previously on Marvel or anything like that, but there's no sort of like, if you've never seen this before or reminder or anything like that.
It was this just film straight into it.
Oh, yeah, but it starts literally opens up off the back of a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
And if you've not seen that post-credit scene at the end of Thor Ragnarok, you're not going to know what's happened. So Marvel are so confident in their fan base and the fact that everyone's seen these and everyone stays for the post-credit scene,
which is pretty amazing.
Which is amazing because it just worked. Nobody would have gone in there and gone, I've got no idea what's going on here. Wait there, I need to check. People just know, and I think that is just a massive big up to Marvel as to how much how well they've done, and the fact that they can get away with that to a degree. I also thought it was quite interesting. You know, the message that's going out off the Asgardian ship saying, you know, don't attack, because I think it's to Thanos' ship, isn't it? Don't attack. It's his family's on board. That's Kenneth Branagh.
Is it?
Kenneth Branagh does the voiceover for that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. So should we talk? We're here to talk about Loki, so we'll spend a bit of time talking about Loki because he's in the film for 5
all
minutes.
Of 5 minutes.
All 5 minutes, but it's a good 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I thought, because I'm watching this again from a different perspective as the normal, I was under the impression when I watched it last time that it's just like, right, Loki's good now, 100% good, and I still maybe am under that impression, but a few bits of how he acted made me think, is he 100%?
He's still pragmatic. He
is, because he tells him, because Thanos it basically gets Thor by the head, and basically threatens to kill him.
Yeah,
and Loki just says, "Kill away."
Yeah,
and it's like Thanos is he knows Thanos.
I think they were playing villain chicken.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he could have... Because I think... Thanos could have just killed him.
No, but Thanos knew.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. No, Thanos knew, and they were totally playing a game of chicken with each other.
I'm not sure
Thanos was doing it slowly so that Loki could watch and have the chance to say no, because then Thanos wins. Even just the smaller...
It's a mind game.
Yeah.
See, I get that, but I wonder whether it was a bit of... I think that he is good, but... he maybe liked to think that he maybe isn't, and he was like, right, kill him. And then he saw him being tortured, and it was like, nah, I can't do this anymore. I can't watch my brother die. And it's got to that point where he's now like, I can't do it.
I think he was trying to be Billy Big Bollocks, basically.
Billy Big Bollocks, technical term. But the thing is as well, he hasn't. If he was truly good, why did he not tell Thor he had the Tesseract? Because Thor had no idea he had the Tesseract. So if he was 100% good,
because he's not 100% good,
which makes me
himself.
Yeah, but which makes me think he is. I think he is pretty much good, but he thought he could potentially watch Thor die, and it's like, well, I'm Loki, I'm evil, I'm not giving up the Tesseract. If you want to kill Thor, kill Thor. And then when it actually came to that second where he was suffering the pain, it was like, oh no shit, I can't do this. I don't know. I can't watch him. We'll never know.
No.
Or maybe we will, but we probably won't. And then he
Tom,
says,
get in touch, get on the podcast.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston, come on the podcast at some point. That'd be fantastic. And then he says we have a Hulk, and then Hulk comes out of nowhere. Where was Hulk?
I know.
How have we got to this point and Thanos didn't know they had a Hulk?
How has he
Has just been hiding
everybody?
I know. And 50% of the ship have left at this point.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, he's killed everybody on the ship.
Unless he was Bruce.
No, because he's no. I don't think he had. Well, maybe. I don't get the impression. I had that impression though.
I don't get the impression that he. But it's the only logical thing that I can think of.
Yeah.
Bruce is like lying there, half done in, and has given Loki a nod that we haven't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think he just as soon as he got.
But he just came in like a freight train, didn't he?
I mean, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
The fact that we talked about this, didn't we, at the start of the episode, that it's just like how you think he's doing quite well, and then he just takes, and it's a bit scary to a degree because it's like you think of Hulk as being like one of the most powerful beings in the
we've literally just come out of Ragnarok, the strongest Avenger.
Yeah,
that's what he was named as on the ship.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to remember what our thoughts were when we watched it for the first time, but I remember being like, wow, this guy's like not fazed by the Hulk at all, and he's just taken into pieces. So obviously Thanos quite easily beats him, and then we get more Loki. So he tries to trick Thanos, doesn't he, into thinking that he's gonna help him.
Yeah,
and he's got that, and he's got the dagger. Tries to stab him. Yeah, makes the dagger. He's hiding it, isn't he? And then obviously Thanos just goes in for the kill. And I think talking about the mind games again, I think he's trying to play a bit of like, even though he knows he's about to die, he's trying to have one over on him when he says you'll never be a god. And I had to watch because I was thinking, how's Thanos going to react to this? Is he going to be pissed off and kill him? But he just like smirks as it's like, don't need to be a god. I'm still going to absolutely kill you. And then just crushes his neck and kills him. Quite graphic as well.
It is quite a graphic.
Blood coming out of his eyes and stuff. Is he dead? Are we 100% certain that version of Loki is dead? Yes. Is there any chance that this guy's still alive?
No.
Do you not reckon?
No.
Not even a little chance?
No.
Then I'm not convinced. I think there's always a
chance. No, but I think that whatever the Loki series presents, I think there's going to be some way out of it.
Yeah, but obviously we've got when it was skipping to Endgame.
But I think
we're
that
getting
version
2012.
of Loki is dead.
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see that version of Loki again in this. I'll be a little bit surprised, I'll be honest, but I wouldn't be like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Because he got stabbed through the chest by, what's that dude's name? The big dark elf there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mr. Echo.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did he survive that?
How does he survive anything that he survives?
I don't know. I just wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't dead. Anyway, Heimdall gets killed, obviously, and I think the fact that Heimdall and Loki both die, big names in the first 5 minutes of that film, it just shows no one's saving this film.
Literally within the first 5 minutes, we were sat there like, oh shit.
This is
this is real now.
People are gonna die.
Yeah,
people are actually gonna die in this film, and I don't think we could have guessed how many people are gonna die. Spoilers. So, carrying on then. So Hulk lands in New York, in the New York Sanctorum. He turns back into Banner. He tells Doctor Strange and Wong about Thanos. Doctor Strange goes to get Tony, and then Ebony Maw and Cull Obsidian show up looking for the Time Stone. They obviously have a fight, which we'll go through. Spider-Man shows up as well, and it all ends basically with Ebony Maw kidnapping Strange and Peter and Tony sneaking onto the ship as it heads into space. I think the whole interaction between Tony and Ebony Maw is brilliant. He's like,
hey Squidward.
Hey Squidward. He means get lost, Squidward. Yeah,
it's so funny.
It's amazing, and the whole thing. Tony's just.
I laughed so hard at the cinema at that.
I know. I remember watching it. I remember it. It was brilliant. Dude, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizards.
Yeah, and how many because he literally gets the same line from Thor in Ragnarok. Dude, you're embarrassing me in front of everybody because I told them all we're friends from work.
Yeah. And the way he's like giving all like Banner loads of shit because it's like because he can't do it. He's like, come on, do it.
It's like, come out. No.
Surprise. I had to. Sorry. And then I thought it was good. Do you know what though? I would have loved to see Hulk. It's a shame, obviously, that he didn't come out, but that Cull Obsidian, the big guy with the hammer versus Hulk, would have been. I think that would have been a brilliant fight, absolutely amazing fight. And I think we thought we were going to get it at the end of the film, and we didn't get it then either. No. But that would have been amazing to watch. Just to watch, I think particularly after Hulk got his arse handed to him by Thanos, it would have been quite good to just see. I assume Hulk would have just been able to beat him. Yeah. And obviously Spider-Man comes in. Oh, I'm talking about suit up. What do you think of Tony's suit up? Do you think it was a bit the fact that he now
the nanotech?
Yeah, he just taps his chest and the whole thing. Was it too much of a jump from what we've seen previously to get to that?
I don't think so.
I thought it was all right. I think a lot again.
Have people said that it was a bit of a jump?
I think a few from what I've read online, because I've been doing seeing what other people thought and stuff. Yeah, I think it gets a bit of stick for being a bit of a not like completely rubbish. Just maybe it was a bit not kiddie, but I think they're all going down a more comic booky route, aren't they? So it's
but not only that. There's the scene later on where Thanos literally punches or pulls the helmet off.
Yeah, he does,
Tony.
And he just comes back.
And then goes straight back in for a punch. If he didn't have that nanotech to get his thing back on, it would have happened too quick and he'd have been dead.
I don't think the suit up. I think I'm all right.
I don't think it was all for that purpose.
No.
If you get what I mean, but
I'm all right. I'm all right with the suit up. I do see how people maybe when he fights, because we're jumping ahead a bit, but when he fights Thanos and he's got like all these like hammers coming out and swords just flying out in like half a second and all that sort of stuff. Maybe that's a little bit OTT.
What do you mean?
Because what? No, like even
when his hands and his feet become like the pins and stuff.
No, not even that necessarily. I think the one that got me was, and we won't get there because we're talking about it now. But it's like when he punches Thanos, it's like he turns both his hands into like these massive like hammers, and they both like with like hydraulic hammers, and they basically punch Thanos in the face, both of them. And that was probably the only bit that looked a bit like silly, for want of a better word. It was maybe a little bit too cartoony. But in general, I thought the suit. I remember again watching it at the cinema. It was just like it was brilliant. I thought it was really cool, for want of a better word at the time. That's it, isn't it? I also thought it was quite funny when Peter rolls up and he's like, "What's this guy's deal?" And he's like, "He's from space. He's come here to steal a necklace from a wizard." It's just like it kind of highlights how stupid it is. Yeah, because that's what's happening.
Because they do it in Falcon the Winter Soldier, and they say it's one of the three, isn't it?
Three
aliens, robots, or wizards.
Aliens, androids, and wizards.
That's it. Androids.
That's it. Yeah, it's brilliant. But
I like the fact that it kind of takes the mick out of itself.
It's like we said from
process.
Thor, though. That was the first movie that was really self-aware and happy to take the piss out of itself for being a comic book movie. And this is kind of like, we know he's come to steal a necklace from a wizard, and it's kind of like we're literally going to say it on screen, but it's quite funny. And then the last bit, I still think it's brilliant now watching it again. The Peter suiting up with the Iron Spider suit when he falls back. That's absolutely amazing. And I think we'd seen that in the leaked Comic-Con trailer before the movie came out, but it didn't take anything away.
No.
I just don't think it took anything away at all.
No, I loved it.
So carrying on then, we go to Edinburgh. We see Wanda and Vision. They're like in hiding together. And then Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive, who are the other two children of Thanos, they show up to try and basically steal the Mind Stone. They end up injuring Vision, leaving Wanda to basically fight on her own. And then Steve, Sam, and Nat show up to rescue them. They then head to Wakanda. They pick up Rhodey and Banner, and that's when they just pick them up. It's like, hey, get in. I'm trying to be succinct with my breakdown, Anthony.
Do I bow? Yeah, he's royalty.
That's
and then it bows.
What are you doing? No, that's amazing. Yeah. So they basically head to Wakanda, don't they? And Vision is asking Wanda to destroy the Mind Stone, but Shuri reckons that she can remove it,
extract it without destroying Vision,
without killing him. Yeah. I think the thing I didn't like about this, and I can't really figure out why, apart from the fact maybe it's something to do with the first time he gets stabbed. Vision is just useless for the whole movie, considering like how in Age of Ultron it's like this body is going to make Ultron unstoppable, and we need to stop him getting this body because he's basically just going to wipe out the planet if he gets it.
They've treated him like that
to
basically
this. And I can only think it's like, because I think he says like the first time he gets stabbed, he says like it's the being stabbed, that blade stopped me from phasing. And it's like, has it just completely taken all his power? Because later on in the movie, it's like you get that Corvus Glaive's got him at the very end. Yeah. And Steve comes in and rescues him. And as much as I love Steve Rogers,
there's no comparison.
Vision can't take him, but Steve can. It's like, it's like this guy's supposed to be like absolutely unstoppable, but yeah, I didn't like the fact that he needed looking after for the whole movie basically.
He was babysat essentially when he was, the whole
wasn't
time.
He was completely.
Yeah.
I wrote something down here. I thought Steve's arrival when he like pops out the shadows and then the music starts when Proxima Midnight throws a spear at him.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. At the time, I thought it was absolutely amazing as well. And I wrote down, which I've then gone and changed later. I did write down. I actually thought it was better than Thor's arrival.
Oh yeah.
In Wakanda. I don't now because I've watched the rest of the film and saw Thor's arrival, and I was like, no, this is actually better. But I think from the first time I watched it, that one like gave me chills more than Thor rolling up. Just the way that he like. It was the music.
I love when Thor turns up as well and he looks at Steve and goes, I see you copying my beard.
That was all improv.
Was it?
That was all improvised, that bit, yeah.
So was the chant as well from Chadwick Boseman.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
When he starts doing that massive chant with the whole tribe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. There was he shouted it and they all shouted it back.
That's brilliant.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, can you imagine being there? That would have been like chills.
I'd have had goosebumps doing it.
Absolutely amazing. I also thought it was a bit weird watching how, not weak, but how Wanda was struggling to take on Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive on her own, where now it'd just be like, bang.
Yeah.
Dead.
But
wouldn't even have to click her fingers.
We see the turning point in Endgame. Because now that I've sat and watched it again.
When she comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she says, you've taken everything from me.
Yeah.
And that moment, and you just see the power. And
but it kind of makes sense with WandaVision as well, doesn't it?
Now that I've watched WandaVision, it kind of made me go, wow, all over again.
How
and I
powerful
thought,
she is.
And I watched that bit to be like, why didn't she get Thanos? And it's essentially because of the airstrike.
Yeah.
She'd have had him.
She was going to kill him, yeah. She was the one who came.
100%.
And I know I think this is another argument that people like to have online and like socials and all that sort of stuff. Who's more powerful, Wanda or Captain Marvel? And I think up until WandaVision, I think it was quite easy to argue that it was Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But I think even with Endgame, she came closer than anybody else.
Yeah.
To kill him. And like you said, apart from that airstrike, she would have had him completely.
Yeah.
Right, so let's talk about the Guardians and Thor. So the Guardians find Thor after they respond to the distress call.
The windscreen.
This hits the windscreen. So they respond to the distress call from the Asgardian ship. Thor tells them what's going on, tells them that the Power Stone has been taken from Xandar, and they basically split into, after a bit of, which we'll talk about, after a bit of not arguing between him and Star-Lord, but not getting on between him and Star-Lord. They split into two teams. So Thor, Rocket, who he calls Rabbit, which is I think brilliant all the way through, all the way through the film, and Groot. They go to Nidavellir to get a weapon to defeat Thanos, and the rest of the Guardians go to nowhere to get the Reality Stone. And when they get there, Thanos is already there. He's killed. I assume he's killed the Collector, and he basically ends up kidnapping Gamora.
Yeah.
The whole bit where they meet Thor is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I always think it's Star-Lord who's the best, which is brilliant. It's Drax again. Drax is amazing.
Yeah. So I love like Chris Pratt doing the low voice.
Yeah.
This is how I always
He's copying me.
But then Drax is like, this is a man.
This is a man. You're a dude.
This is a man.
This is a man. A handsome, muscular man. It's like a pirate had a baby with an angel. So good.
That's brilliant.
So good. And then again, Star-Lord when he says, "You will not take our ship today, sir." I'm gonna get a Bowflex.
I love it.
What does Rocket say to him? He says, "You're half a sandwich away from something."
I can't remember.
From basically being fat. Yeah, it's brilliant. Poor Star-Lord, but again, it works. He's like James Gunn got it on the right line. He's a complete goofball, and it's fun to laugh. He's fun to laugh at, but at the same time, he's a badass, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like later on in the film, like when he takes it's because I think there's him and Drax and Mantis against Doctor Strange, Peter and Tony, and basically Mantis and Drax don't do anything. And he basically, on his own, Star-Lord beats the three of them, doesn't he?
Yeah.
By taking Peter hostage. But yeah, he is good. The whole Quill Thor banter is brilliant. talking about because obviously it all within the same sort of not part, but all the same sort of area, should we say? Drax being invisible is amazing. I've perfected it so if I move so slowly.
Hi, Drax. Then he just walks.
Oh, he's eating his nuts. Yeah. It's so good. Absolutely.
He's amazing.
This is why I'd be gutted if they end up getting rid of Dave Bautista, or if he leaves. But I suppose if they're not the same character.
If they're going to do it, if they're going to get rid of it,
he needs to go out like a hero.
Yeah, he needs to go out laughing his head off as he runs right into the mouth of something. Right, you know, like the Captain Jack when the Kraken eats him and stuff like that. It's that kind of.
Or even at the start of
the
Guardians
second one,
2, when he jumps into that monsters and that. Yeah. It needs to be like that.
It needs to be something like that.
Yeah.
I think
then
that's
they need
the
to
only
leave
way
it
to
that
die.
you don't see him die. You just see him end up in this thing.
That's what I mean.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So that in 5 years, when Batista wants to come back, we can bring him back, and he's somehow managed.
He's on a raft in the middle of the water somewhere.
I'm all right with that. I'm absolutely fine. I'm absolutely fine with that. We just need him to stay. So they end up going to nowhere. Gamora, as we think, kills Thanos. I didn't see that. I know obviously she didn't really kill him, but I remember watching that at the cinema. I was like, shit, where's this guy? Because I didn't see that it was going to be a twist. It was like, where the hell is this going now then?
Yeah.
And then as soon as you hear Thanos' voice, it's like, right, I get it now. But it was at the time like, there's quite a lot of that all the way through the film.
But it was the same minutes later with Star-Lord shooting Gamora.
And the fact that he did it.
He's going to do it, and then he did it, and the bubbles came out, and I was like, oh my god.
I like the fact that Thanos goes, I like him, and then they teleport because it's like he's all right. Him actually, the fact that he was willing to kill to save the universe basically. Yeah. But yeah, that whole thing, I was a bit like, even Star-Lord says like that was quick when she like stabs him in the throat. Yeah. But I said it was really good. It was good. It was a good. But twist.
Even the Collector in the jar, and as he
magnificent,
changes and he's like,
he waves. Yeah. That's a lot of thought by Thanos. It does make you think, like, he must have put a lot of thought into that. Yeah. He's been sat there for hours planning it out and drawing it. Little sketches. I'm going to have the Collector here. I'm going to have him wave. I'm going to have him wave when I turn everything back. That'll be fun. That'll be
going to be here in 14 minutes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm going to have him clapping saying, that's magnificent. And then the wave will just wind him up. So, back to Thanos then. So, Thanos his tortures Nebula, because he's got hold of Nebula now. And he forces basically Gamora to give him the location to the Soul Stone, which is on Vormir. They head to Vormir where they meet the Red Skull, who's guarding the stone, and Thanos basically has to sacrifice something that he loves, which is pretty much Gamora, who she doesn't think that he does, but clearly he does. So he sacrifices her, he ends up getting the Soul Stone, and then that's when Nebula escapes, and she basically tells the Guardians to meet her on Titan. Red Skull showing up again. Marvel did such a good job of this, not letting spoilers out, because we had no idea that he was going to be in it. You didn't have any idea.
I couldn't remember.
I can remember this.
You were like, and I was like, ooh, who is it? I'd completely forgotten.
I was sitting there going, it's Red Skull, and he's like, no.
I'd watched about 15 films since then, so I'd just completely forgotten.
But again, no one expected him to be in it. The fact that they killed off Gamora, I know they've kind of brought her back, but it just, again, no one is safe in this film. They've just killed off Gamora.
Have they brought her back? Like, she wasn't on the ship though when they were leaving at the end of Endgame, was she?
No, yeah, because she's disappeared. Yeah. She's in Guardians 3 though.
Oh,
Zoe Saldana's in Guardians 3. Yeah.
So something's happened.
Yeah, and she's confirmed to be in the Christmas special. Guardians holiday special. Sorry, spoilers. But she is. But yeah, I think because I suppose it was argued, wasn't it? Would she have been destroyed with the snap because she was part of Thanos' army? But it depends what. It depends how they snapped. Tony asked for.
Get rid of everyone on Thanos' side because she wasn't on his side.
Yeah.
Don't know.
But I think she's going to be back. But again, the fact that she died, it was like, it was, no one's safe in this movie, and it was a massive shock when it happened. I think it also made Thanos more human though, because if he hadn't really loved Gamora, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
So it proves that even though he was a complete nutter. Yeah. But again, we've talked about this.
It did the flashbacks, didn't it, to her being younger as well?
Yeah.
And it showed that obviously, I mean,
he's had her
since she was 8.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
she has grown up as his daughter, and it's like he always says, my favourite daughter. She was the one who was always like, until Guardians, she was like right behind his side, right by his side, follow him, do whatever he said. She was proper evil. Yeah. Like in the prison in Guardians, it's like she's killed so many people who these people know. That's why they all want her dead.
Yeah.
So again, it makes sense that he was completely gutted about the fact that she's died, and again, it humanized him to a degree. Going back to Tony and Peter then. So they're on Ebony Moore's ship. So Tony and Peter end up freeing Doctor Strange. They end up killing Ebony Moore as well. They land on Titan, where they meet the Guardians, which is brilliant. We'll talk about this in a minute. Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone to view all the potential futures. Well, not all of them, but 14,605,000, I think it is. Yeah. Potential futures, and they only win in one. They end up coming... I'm going to skip a lot. I'm not skipping stuff, but I'm going to go through a lot here. So they end up coming up with a plan to beat Thanos. Thanos rolls up, and it does work until Quill cocks it up.
Ruined it.
We will talk about in a second, because he finds out Gamora is dead. Thanos ends up beating them all. He's about to kill Tony, and then Strange to save Tony. We know why now, because it's obviously the only eventuality where they win. But he gives up the Time Stone, and then Thanos disappears. So there's quite a lot to talk about in this bit. This bit I don't know whether you knew this. You know when Peter and Tony save Doctor Strange? Yeah. Originally in the script, it was going to go completely very differently. And there's concept art out there, which I should have had ready, but I'll show you later. If you've not seen it, that Tony was going to basically send the suit to Strange, and Strange was going to have the full Iron Man suit on. Oh, no way. And then Tony was going to have the cloak. And he's basically going to fight Ebony Moore, yeah. And there's concept art, and it basically the suit goes purple, and he's got the Eye of Agamotto as his arc reactor, and then instead of the repulsors, he's got basically the orange spells. Yeah, it looks really good.
That's amazing. I'll show you later.
I don't know why they didn't include it, because that would have been absolutely whether it would have been too gimmicky or not. Yeah, but it would have been. I think it would have been amazing to see that.
Maybe they'd do that in the What If.
That'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't know.
That would have been cool. It's a good opportunity to use it. Maybe not even series 1. You could do multiple seasons of it, I suppose. That would be. I think just to be able to see that. I mean, the concept art is really good, to be fair. But I think that was they absolutely missed a trick with that one. When the Guardians or let's say the Guardians, there's only 3 of them left. But when Peter and or Quill, should I say, because there's 2 Peters, which is just dead confusing with my notes. When Quill and not Gamora, she's not there. Friggin' hell. When Quill and Drax and Mantis, I'm not even going to edit this out. Quill and Drax and Mantis meet Tony, Strange and Peter. The whole sort of banter between the best bit, where is Gamora? Who do you want better? Who is Gamora? Who do you want better?
Why is Gamora?
And the look Doctor Strange gives him, it's like, what are you talking about? And the other bit is when I think Quill's got Peter Parker and he's about to shoot him, and then Tony gets the big gun out and puts it in Drax's face. Yeah. And Drax is like, "Do it, Quill, I can take it." And it's like, "No, you can't." Doctor Strange is like, "No, you can't."
And this is what I mean about his, like, if he dies, it's gonna be.
Yeah, he's got absolutely no fear.
Just jumping back 1 second, one of my favourite parts is, "Hi, I'm Peter. I'm Doctor Strange." Oh, we're using our made-up names. Spider-Man.
It's not. I don't think there's so much comedy through it.
It doesn't pull away from the action or anything, but it's just the right amount of giggles in between.
They're the bits you remember, though. Yeah. They are the bits you remember. Like, that's why Thor 2 didn't work, because there's no humour. No. All the bits of humour that are in it are crap, but there's not really much humour in it at all. It needs to have that balance with it. It's a comic book movie. It can't be completely serious, can it? But yeah, brilliant. When they fight, I thought it was good before they get to it. What master do you serve? What am I supposed to say? Jesus. Yeah. Good quality. So when Thanos shows up, then obviously they all have a bit of a go at him. Doctor Strange is definitely the standout with all the magic and like the multiplying himself and all those like whips that he puts around his hands and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I don't quite understand though. Why didn't he just chop off his arm like he did with Cull Obsidian?
I know, it's weird.
Because there wouldn't have been an Avengers Endgame.
No. Also, I have to admit, I loved Peter's part of the fight with...
What? Magic. More magic. Magic with a kick.
And it's just like...
But it's
he's like roundhousing himself. Like he's just narrating the whole thing.
I know, but that's why he caught him, because he heard him from behind him. It's like Loki in Thor 1 when he's like, ha-ha! He's like completely done himself over. So then, anyway, the plan ends up working to a degree. But surely we'll talk about the plan.
It is working.
It is working.
Just that.
But Doctor Strange must have known that wasn't going to work because he'd seen the one eventuality where they won. So he must have known from the start that wasn't going to work. Yeah. He's basically just played along with this whole thing. But I know obviously because everyone's seen it. Basically, Peter Quill cocks up the plan because he finds out Gamora's died and he starts punching Thanos in the face basically and wakes him up. But straight away when he lands, everyone else has either got hold of Thanos or is trying to pull the gauntlet off him. And Peter Quill's just like, yeah, my plan worked really well, ha ha ha. And he's just like standing around, like not doing anything.
Supervising.
I know, yeah. It's like, grab the gauntlet, get it off him. But even again at that point, why did Strange not just chop it off?
I don't know.
Just chop his arm off at that stage, or Thor or Iron Man. I don't know. Didn't work. Is it all Star-Lord's fault?
Yeah.
Well, it is. I thought that, but then thinking about it now, it was kind of Doctor Strange knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it kind of is. How would that not have worked?
It's kind of like Doctor Strange knew it needed not to work so that it could work later.
I did think, though, it's like if they got that gauntlet off his hand, no one's powerful enough to wield the gauntlet.
No one that was there, no.
No one that was there. And is any of them... Even though he had both of those stones... He obviously had both of those stones at that time.
Yeah.
He's not always powered up by those stones. Because they don't light up until he closes his fist. Basically, he only with them in the gauntlet, he only has the power of the Power Stone when he clenches his fist.
Yeah.
So it was taking all of them that long to pin him down for 10 seconds, just because he didn't have the gauntlet. He'd have still beat him.
Yeah.
Unless I don't know, Strange teleported somewhere to get rid of it, but he'd still come.
Yeah.
So it probably would have. That's probably why. It wouldn't have worked out. The other 14 million wouldn't have worked out if he got it anyway, which is probably why Strange didn't step in. We also get Tony going one-on-one with Thanos as well, who, to be fair, Tony Stark, I know he's obviously got an Iron Man suit, but he probably did better than anyone.
All that for a drop of blood.
But he's the first person to make him bleed. I mean, how did Tony in that armor beat him and Hulk didn't basically make him have a scratch on him. It's like the fact that he did so well. I also thought it was really good how Thanos knows who Tony is.
Yeah.
And he says, I think he just says Stark, doesn't he? And he's like, you know me. And it's like, shit. He knows who this guy is. Who's told him? It must have just been off the back of Avengers 1, mustn't it?
Well, that's what you'd think.
It must be. So we go to Wakanda. So Thanos' army arrives at Wakanda. The battle starts while Shuri's trying to remove the Mind Stone from Vision. While that's going on, Thor is helping Eitri the Dwarf craft Stormbreaker. Thor, Rocket, and Groot use it to travel to Earth. They basically provide reinforcements in the battle, don't they? Vision and Thanos both end up during the fight. Thanos basically tears through everyone, and Wanda's basically forced to destroy Vision. Which again, the fact that she can destroy an Infinity Stone, which is the only thing that can destroy the stones is the stones apparently, but she's managed to destroy one straight away. But then obviously Thanos rewinds time.
Wasn't it something to do with their frequency?
Because she's powered by the Mind Stone, isn't she? So she can probably replicate the frequency. Thanos rewinds time, gets the Mind Stone back. Thor almost kills him, but basically Thanos snaps his fingers and wipes out half the universe. Should have gone for the head. So this is a big battle. So let's and we don't want to spend too long on it because we've got another film to talk about in a second, like we said. But the best bits, I think, putting Banner in the Hulkbuster was genius.
Hilarious.
Absolutely amazing by the Russos. So clever.
And the fact that he trips and falls on his face within the first 3
seconds. I know the look Okoye gives him when she like hovers past and it's just like, what are we dealing with here? We're like elite warriors and this idiot can't even stand up.
And what was it? When Okoye turns around, she's like, where was she?
Yeah, why has she been up there the whole time?
That was it.
Amazing. It is true, but obviously we know why because she's been protecting Vision. But
yeah,
brilliant. I loved Cap's shields. Bill Cannon shields. I thought that they were really good. And the bit at the start of the battle when they basically run to fight these, I can't remember what they're called, the monsters that are basically coming through, and him and Black Panther just go flying past everybody and like just clear this lake with a jump. It just shows that like completely level pegging between the two. Thor's entrance is having watched it now, it's better than Steve's, just a little bit. but it's better than Steve's. And then the whole we talked about
the
it
whole
before.
fight is just amazing.
The whole fight's brilliant, but the bit where you copied my beard, new haircut, you copied my beard, and then when he goes, sorry, this is my friend Tree, and he says, I am Groot, and he's like, I am Steve Rogers. I had me howling in the cinema that. You talked about it. Wanda absolutely kicks ass, basically, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She beats Proxima Midnight. The fact that she just lifts those two. That's when she says it, isn't it? She lifts those two, whatever vehicles they are that are just tearing through everybody and just throws them on all the bad guys. That's good.
Why was she up there?
Why has she been up there the whole time? And then again, all the way from the original watch, Hulk not coming out at any point. I think Marvel put Hulk in the trailers in Wakanda.
Yeah.
And I thought, and there were toys. There was a toy out that you could get, and it was Banner in the Hulkbuster, and then Hulk broke out of the Hulkbuster. And then there's literally a toy of it, yeah. And I couldn't. When we got to the end, and it's like, where the bloody hell's Hulk? He's not popped up for the entire. Oh, obviously at the start, but the fact that he wasn't in the movie at all. Again, there were
I love that
lots
balance
of surprises.
though, that he still manages to win the fight by playing smart because it's Bruce and not Hulk.
Smart Hulk, smart Banner with all the PhDs can win. He needs a mech, but he can still win. But it wasn't brute force that beat him. It was being clever and putting the repulsor cannon to make him fly into the shield. We've said before. I mean, the last thing I'd say about it is we've said before that there's lots of twists in the movie, but at the very end, it's like when Wanda blew up the stone, I was like, that's it. Yeah. That's it. It's finished. I know we knew there was going to be a part 2, but I was like, right, that's it. It's done. And then he rewinds time, and it's like, shit, no, it's not. And then when Stormbreaker goes into Thanos' chest, it's like, right, that's it. It's done. And it's like, no, it's not. And then I can just remember, and I can't think.
It's just, it continues to just teeter on the edge the whole time in that scene, doesn't it?
But when he snapped his fingers, and it kind of, I mean, I remember the cinema just being silent though.
Yeah.
As soon as he snapped his fingers, that was it. There was like nobody said a word until the credits rolled in the cinema.
But you did hear gasps.
Yeah,
and I loved that.
Yeah.
So it was silence apart from as soon as the next person went down, you just heard.
I know.
From the audience, and it was just amazing.
I can remember like feeling like, I don't know whether I'd say like sick. It was just like, what the friggin' hell's going on here? It's like turns your stomach. It's like, I can't believe this is happening. Everyone's dying.
And I'm not gonna lie, I got totes emotion when Peter turned around to
I haven't even written that down.
Tony, that just absolutely killed me.
Because he's a kid, isn't he, at the end of the day? And it's just this kid.
Well, they play, and I like the way they've done this because they played on it the whole time. Everyone was calling him kid all the way through.
Yeah.
And then within the first 30 seconds of the first fight, he gets hit by one of the street signs.
Yeah.
Flaps back at him and stuff like that. And it's just how little he's prepared for such a big fight.
Yeah.
And then that happens to him at the end, and it's just like the kid didn't get a break the whole time. It was,
I think maybe I thought when people died, it'd be lesser Avengers, if you're not like they're not any worse or anything like that, but like not the big names.
Yeah.
So when like Star-Lord went and like basically all the Guardians have gone apart from Rocket.
Yeah.
It's the only one left. It's the only one left, and Nebula, I suppose. The fact that Peter died, it was like I mean, they killed Spider-Man off. It's like he's like he's the biggest name, isn't he? I know I know Tony's like the big name in the film, but if you think of Marvel superheroes, you think of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they've killed him off.
But then they kept the ones that you wouldn't necessarily... Like, if I'm totally honest, although Black Widow's been in it all the way through, I'd have thought she'd have gone.
Yeah.
Out of them all. The fact that she was one of the ones that stayed.
The original 6 were all stayed, didn't they?
Yeah.
I was surprised they killed Black Panther.
I know.
They killed T'Challa. That was... I remember when... Because I think... Didn't he go and he goes to save pick Okoye up? And I thought... She's going to disappear now. And then he disappears, and it's like, freaking hell. Or maybe she'll disappear now, and she doesn't. And it's like... I can't. It was a massive shock all the way through, and as I said,
I also noticed for the first time when it was at the beginning of Endgame when they're talking about everyone that's disappeared.
Yeah.
And there's pictures. Shuri disappeared as well.
Yeah. Shuri disappeared as well.
Which I didn't know until I'd seen it on the picture.
Yeah.
She'd gone as well.
Crazy. It's like it's Empire Strikes Back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, it was good, but brilliant film. We'll talk about. Should we do what we thought? We'll do what we thought was best. Which one we thought was best? after we've done Endgame, shall we?
Yeah.
Before we get into Endgame, I completely forgot there was a post credits. Completely with Nick Fury again. It was on this one. It was Nick Fury and.
Oh no, I watched it.
I watched it, but I was surprised.
Sorry, no, I hadn't forgotten.
Oh, I completely
because I
knew
that was the introduction to Captain Marvel.
I know that post credit scene, but I completely forgot it was there because when it finished with Thanos, I was just like, that's it now.
Well, I didn't know that was the symbol for Captain Marvel at the time.
Remember, yeah.
When I first watched it, and I was like, what does it mean?
Yeah, who the hell is that? And I can remember being in the cinema and see people going, "That's Wonder Woman. That's Wonder Woman," and it's like, what?
Really?
What? Yeah, I can remember hearing a girl tell to like her mum or something, "That's Wonder Woman's logo," and it's like, what are you doing here? It's a midnight showing. How can you be at a midnight showing of Avengers and think that that's Wonder Woman's logo and she's going to roll up? And then I bet she was devastated when Gal Gadot didn't pop up in the film. So let's go through. We'll go through Endgame then. So Endgame starts 23 days, I think it is, after Endgame, not after Endgame, it is, yeah. After Infinity War. Tony and Nebula are lost in space before getting rescued by Captain Marvel.
I love how they make Tony look in that.
Yeah, because again, it wasn't in the trailer. No. They have him in that scene was in the trailer, but he just looks like completely emaciated, doesn't he? They back on Earth. They get back to Earth. The surviving Avengers, apart from Tony, because he's obviously very ill, plan to chase down Thanos and reverse the snap. They end up going to the garden where Thanos is living, and he tells them that the stones have been destroyed, and Thor decapitates him. I thought the little dynamic between Tony and Nebula was brilliant.
Yeah.
I love the fact that even though she was... But I know she's kind of had like a similar transition to Loki, hasn't she? She's gone from being...
I like this game.
Yeah.
But she's still so serious and still looks suspicious.
Yeah.
But she's like, I like this game.
But then it's like when you see her like giving him the last of the food because she's like half robot so she can survive without it, and then covering him up with the blanket. It's like she's like a proper... She's just good now, isn't she?
Yeah.
All the way through. And again, I thought that was... But you never really see them for the rest... Even though they're in the rest of the film together, like after the 5-year time jump, there's no real interaction between the two. And you would have thought
even though they've been in solitude for 3 weeks together.
3 weeks together, basically both thinking they're about to die. You'd think there'd be some sort of... They'd have put something in there. I think they missed a trick with that, thinking about it. They should have had a moment in there where of them basically being, just talking to each other about what's about to happen. There's I think, I can't remember what it is. Is it how it should have ended? And it's... obviously it's like what the alternate ending should have been to the movie, and in the end it's somehow, can't remember how they do it, but they end up making it so that Tony survives the snap, and then when they all get back to Earth, Nebula rolls up with the kid and Tony's like, oh shit. I thought that was really clever. I think obviously Carol saving them is great, but I think it straight away showed that she was too powerful for the movie, which is why they wrote her out very quickly. And I think she's, at the time, she was the only one who was that powerful. She's obviously not now, because we're getting into Eternals. We've got Wanda, we've got Doctor Strange, which we've talked about
we
before.
saw it because when Thanos headbutts her and she doesn't even
flinch, and it's only the Power Stone. And even after getting hit by the Power Stone, there's not a scratch on her.
No,
it's obviously knocked her back, sent her on her arse, but it doesn't do any damage to her. And the fact that she survives a hit without a scratch from the Power Stone in his fist just shows how powerful she is. But they needed to write her out for this. Still don't quite get what we're going to do with Avengers films going forward when we've got Sam Wilson fighting on the same team as Wanda and Carol Danvers, but we'll see what they do. Again, I said it twice this episode now, but I trust that Marvel will have an idea. Again, we talked about all the shocking moments in Infinity War, but when Thor kills Thanos and just chops his head off, didn't see that.
I remember us watching the beginning of that,
like,
just going,
where's this going now?
Jesus.
I think we knew there was going to be time travel, and we knew there was going to be or we suspected there was going to be a time jump, but it was like, I didn't think they just killed Thanos that quickly in the movie. It was, again, massive surprise. So we jump 5 years later to 2023. Scott Lang escapes from the quantum realm. He heads to the Avengers compound.
Do you remember when that came out and we were all like, what's the timestamp on that video? Is it saying it's the 80s or something? There was loads of people speculating, about where he'd come from and what was happening and all of that kind of stuff. And I loved all of that because none of it was right.
No, which it never is.
No.
We never seem to be with the Marvel.
No.
With the Marvel. Never seem to be right with the Marvel. So he basically goes back to the compound. He puts this plan. He starts to think up this plan, doesn't he, at that stage for time travel, which sounds ridiculous, but at the time anyway. They end up asking for Tony's help, but he won't because he doesn't want to risk his family. And then they end up going to Hulk instead, but they can't quite figure it out. Again, I think we talked about with Infinity War, like how well they kept things quiet with like Red Skull.
Yeah.
I think they did amazing with this because I don't think we didn't know that Tony was going to have a daughter. No. So the fact that he's just got this daughter there straight away.
Yeah, yeah.
Hulk being Smart Hulk again. I think they've been teased, hadn't it? And I think people were kind of maybe expecting it, but it hadn't been
taking the selfies
confirmed,
with the kids
and not to that level.
That was so funny.
It was brilliant. I can just remember being there and like everyone like laughing when he just sat there making himself like a burrito at the table. It's brilliant. And then the bit where they're trying to do the test and they keep trying to send Scott back in time, but they just end up pushing time through Scott, and he's like, baby.
Someone peed my pants.
You know, it was old me or baby me or me.
Just me.
Brilliant. Again, it's got the humor, hasn't it? So Tony ends up coming on board after figuring out how to basically make time travel very quickly. Figures out time travel in like 15 minutes, which is a bit random, but I don't know whether it was off the back of what Scott had said.
I assume it was off the back of what was already there.
Yeah.
And then he's just kind of
or maybe he's just that clever and he's never looked into it before.
Yeah.
But anyway, he figures that out very, very quickly.
Shit.
We get the I Love You 3, the first I Love You 3000 there as well, don't we? Which Anthony's going already. You can't talk about that. Anyway, quick, move on. So Hulk and Rocket go to New Asgard to recruit Thor.
Back of the truck.
which is on the back of the truck, which is amazing. We'll break it down in a second. So they recruit him. Nat goes to recruit Hawkeye, who's basically killing gangsters in Tokyo just for fun because he's lost his family. And then they basically put the plan together. So the plan is to go back in time to get the stones before Thanos can get them and basically reverse the snap. So we've talked about Morgan and the I Love You 3000. Fat Thor didn't see that coming in the slightest. We had an inkling that Smart Hulk was coming, but when Fat Thor was on the screen, it was like...
I'm not sure how I feel about how they did it.
In what way?
Because the whole idea behind Fat Thor was that he was really struggling. And it could have gone quite dark. And I know that's not the route they wanted to take it down, but I think they went too far because essentially everyone just did fat jokes.
Yeah, it was all the way through.
And for me, it was kind of like, well, he's obviously handling everything so much worse than everyone else, and there's not been even a spark of a moment of "Are you okay?" until his mum.
There was a bit with Hulk at the start. Hulk was trying when he meets him, but you are right. No one else. I mean, he might have, but no one else seems to have a sit down with him. Everyone's just taking the piss out of him, basically.
Yeah. And for me, it just didn't 100% sit right. They were the only jokes that I didn't particularly enjoy and laugh at. I found it funny in the first moment because Thor was like, again, fighting to be the strongest Avenger and all that kind of stuff.
Just let himself go.
And then he's just totally, And so for me, that bit was quite amusing. But then when you kind of understood it that little bit more and what he's obviously been going through.
He's had a mental breakdown, hasn't he?
Basically, yeah. And I think it was just too light. But I think it was because they were so frightened of it going too dark.
Yeah, potentially. But if you're going to go down that route, you had to go down the light route, didn't you? It's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean, though.
But I think there could have been a little bit more of a balance to it. But apart from that,
it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. The fact that it was only beer that got him to come on board with it all and stuff like that.
And we see Korg
the whole
again.
Thing with Korg.
We see Korg again. What is it? This guy's been a dickhead again.
This guy's been a dickhead again.
New Master 69. It's like, oh, you're crying. Go cry to your mother. That is good. I like
so
that.
Good.
And then I thought it was good as well when they have they do the test again, don't they? But they send Hawkeye.
Yeah.
They send Hawkeye back after because Scott Lang's broke one of the pin particles. He's like, we only have 2 strips, and then he breaks. Ah, shit! And then it comes back.
Yeah.
And then all the talking about like all the different movies, and when Hulk's trying to explain how time travel works, and like Bill and Ted, Back to the Future, Hot Tub Time Machine. And then Scott's like, Die Hard. No, not Die Hard. I was thinking, are there any actors from any of them movies who've been in the MCU? But I don't think they have.
No.
But what's his face? Tony does call Thor Big Lebowski, and Jeff Bridges played Big Lebowski, and also played Obadiah Stane.
Oh, okay.
So we've cross-referenced. So the Big Lebowski exists in the MCU. So who played him? It's like what? It's like Have you seen Last Action Hero?
No.
You never seen Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Obviously, it's, you know what it's about?
No.
So it's, I can't remember, we're going to talk about it because it's kind of relevant. It's basically Arnold Schwarzenegger is an actor, and he plays this character who's basically the main guy. I can't remember his name is now. And this kid ends up jumping into this action film, and then ends up bringing the character back out. So it's basically set in the real world, but he's brought the characters back. So there's an Arnold Schwarzenegger and the character who Arnold Schwarzenegger plays in the real world. Okay, But when he goes there, he goes to like a video store, and there's like a Terminator poster up, but it's Sylvester Stallone playing the Terminator, because in that reality it can't be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Amazing. So that's what I was saying. Who do you reckon played the Big Lebowski in the MCU version? Because it can't have been Jeff Bridges. So they do the mission then. So Banner, Scott, Tony, and Steve go to New York 2012. Banner convinces the Ancient One to give up the Time Stone, but promises to return all the stones after they use them. Steve ends up getting the Mind Stone from Scott. Steve ends up getting the Mind Stone. I'm reading my notes really badly here. Steve ends up getting the Mind Stone from the Hydra agents in the lift, which is brilliant. We'll talk about that in a sec. And then Scott and Tony try to get the Time Stone. Not the Time Stone. The Mind. Oh, wow. I've written down the Time Stone. It's not the Time Stone. The Space Stone. The Tesseract. They tried to get the Tesseract, but they basically completely cock up the plan. Yeah. And 2012, Loki escapes with it, which we'll talk about because it's a Loki Countdown. And then basically Tony and Steve end up going back to the 70s to get the Tesseract instead. And I think Steve sees Peggy, but from a distance. Yeah. And Tony sees his dad, which we'll talk about in a sec. So in New York, Hulk in New York, we've talked about this before. It's brilliant. So funny. Him like running around. He's like, he thinks it's ubiquitous. He's like, banging things and stuff like that and throwing the motorbike. I like the fact that we got the shot though, like the group shot from Avengers. But, and then obviously they weren't there the whole time because it's a different branch reality, but it does. I think we've talked about it with Loki. And I like that
they still had Hulk looking the way he did.
They didn't change him. Yeah, because it shows that he's different.
Because they have changed the CGI of him over the years as they've done it, and I know they've changed the setup anyway for the latest film because it's a different Hulk. Yeah. But I like that they
use the exact same CGI model. Yeah. Because it shows that he was really he's become. Even before he merged with Banner, he's become more human. He was a lot more human in Ragnarok than he was, wasn't he? So it's kind of he's changed from there. But yeah, I thought that that was good the way that they didn't change it. I thought Steve versus Steve was good. Yes, that was, and the fact he thought it wasn't Loki because it's a Loki takeover, but he thought it was Loki. Yeah. And it just shows as well. It's like how the snap and this whole thing happened on the blip, because it's called the blip, isn't it? Yeah. How it's changed Steve and made him more grown up, because it's like he wouldn't swear in Age of Ultron. He's like language. Yeah. And then what does he say? That you got to be shitting me when he sees
something like that.
Something along the lines of that. Yeah. And it just
he goes, I can do this all day. Yeah.
He's like, I know. That is brilliant. And then we see Loki. So again, purely being the opportunist that he is, because particularly it's 2012 Loki, so he's not had the turn back to good. Yeah. He's when Scott and Tony mess up the plan, he watches this whole thing happen, and it's like he could have tried to run at any time, and it's like, no, I'm gonna wait for the perfect moment, and it's that moment that the Tesseract becomes available, and he's just like, right, yeah, bang.
And it's just the opportunist in him again,
he doesn't even flinch. He doesn't even stop for a second. It's just like, right, there it is, bang, gone. Yeah, I'm away. And again, I know it's a Loki takeover, and that's what we're supposed to focus on, but that's pretty much all that happens. I'm really
hoping that it literally, like the first episode of Loki, starts from that moment. Yeah. Like, I don't want to see it, like, I don't want there to be a gap in a way. I want it to be...
You want to see him land wherever he's...
Yeah, and it's like, well, what did he do immediately next from that point.
Yeah, I think
because he's still handcuffed and stuff.
Yeah, with the thing in his mouth.
So I just kind of want to know where it goes from there.
I think it will. I think it'll just start straight from there.
Yeah,
and it'll just.
I reckon it'll
the
just
TVA
be
will just
the
be
Tesseract lands and he grabs it, and you just go with him through the blue cloud.
The blue cloud.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. If there's not a blue cloud, I'm gonna be fuming. I'm gonna be fuming if there's no blue cloud. I reckon it's just gonna be him, like you just said, landing somewhere, and the TVA will be there waiting for him because they know exactly what's going on. I reckon he won't get a chance to do anything. It'll just be like, right, bang, there he is. They're here. Just grab him, and he'll just get taken. He'll just get taken straight in. I thought as well in the 70s, because again watching this back, I think that should have been, because spoilers for the end, Tony dies. I didn't see Tony die. Well, we know. I didn't see Tony dying. I think we all thought maybe he will die, but it wasn't like a definite, and it was still a little bit of a surprise when he died. But that should have been the big clue that he was going to die, because he finally got closure with his dad.
Yeah.
Because he's always had this bad relationship with his dad, and the fact that he ended up giving his dad a hug.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're going to be a good dad and all that sort of stuff. Basically, Tony acknowledging that he was really a good dad in the first place. It was wrapped up then. Yeah. That was Tony's story wrapped up.
Yeah.
And apart from the obviously sacrifice himself.
Because it was the first time watching it, I wouldn't have analysed it in that way.
No, I didn't.
But now looking back at it, I go, well,
it's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's so obvious that they could have just wrapped it up there. So going to Rocket and Thor then. So they go to Asgard 2013 to get the Reality Stone. Rocket ends up taking it from... I was going to say something else, but he ends up extracting it, let's say, from Jane, and then Thor ends up getting a bit of closure as well from his mum.
Yeah, I mean,
getting Mjolnir.
I love how she just knows
instantly. Yeah,
like she's a proper mum.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and she just knows straight away, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm totally from the future."
He's like tries to hide. Like, what happened to your eye? He's like, "Oh, you remember that battle? Yeah, all that sort of stuff." And doesn't she say you crying?
That's my favorite hoodie.
I'm not crying.
Yeah. And then I love that she basically like talks him down and reminds him that he's worthy and all of that kind of stuff. And then she goes, "And Thor, eat a salad."
Eat a salad.
And that is just brilliant.
And we get Loki there as well, don't we?
We do.
We see Loki again.
Yeah, because he's sitting throwing...
I love the fact how they creep past. It's like something from Scooby-Doo. It's like they're like, no one can see me doing it, but you know what I'm doing. They're basically like creeping past his cell.
And even Rocket doing it, like, it just makes me laugh so much.
It's brilliant.
But I also like that moment that he gets the hammer as well.
When he gets my... Yeah. But again, I didn't see that coming until he stood there, until he stopped and stood there with that stupid pose he does, because he puts one arm down and one arm up, doesn't he?
I would love to see if, like, you know, like if you looked at the what if, and Thor from that time has just stood there, and suddenly the hammer just goes boom, out of his hand, and he's like,
where's it gone?
And then,
what was Thor doing
at that moment?
At that moment, because it was just before the Dark Elves attacked.
Yeah.
But Steve, obviously, again, jumping forward, Steve takes Mjolnir when he goes back to put the stones back. So he must have put the hammer back at the exact... Obviously, he's not put it in the exact place because he can get it from anywhere. But he would have had to put that there at that stage. But if you think... only because we watched Thor Dark World again, because I think I've only seen it twice. But when the Dark Elves attack, Thor hasn't got the hammer. If you think about it, because he flies off, doesn't he? He basically doesn't he? When the Dark Elves arrive, doesn't he like call the hammer and it goes flying off? It goes flying off and he grabs it and flies off.
No, I can't remember.
Off like a balcony or something like that. So I don't think he's got the hammer. So he could have basically taken it from there.
Yeah.
Not that they've planned that far ahead.
No.
Marvel plan ahead, but I suppose it makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole scene's the whole bit on, considering we've like hate Asgard normally. That whole scene is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So then going to the rest of the team for the plan then. So Nebula and Rhodey get the Power Stone from Morag, but Nebula ends up getting kidnapped by this so confusing 2014 Thanos, who's figured out what's going on basically. Clint and Nat go to Vormir for the Soul Stone. Nat ends up sacrificing herself, gutted, so that Clint can get the stone. And then meanwhile, Thanos sends 2014 Nebula back to 2023, pretending to be 2023 Nebula. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, good. It doesn't make sense to me. So going over that then, Star-Lord's dancing is brilliant when you can't hear the music.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're just hearing him singing to himself.
Along to it, yeah.
Because like it just completely changes the first Guardians film.
Yeah.
When you're listening to the music
because
like, you're in it and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then Rhodey looks so he's an idiot.
Yeah.
And then Nebula's just like, yeah. But she
and I love
devastated.
it later because she does another thing. Because when Gamora from 2014 goes, him, and she's like, it was either him or a tree.
Peter's like, what do you mean? It's good, brilliant. He's so, but again, he toes the line perfectly as being a bit of a goof at the same time. I don't get. Obviously, Nebula, when Rhodey disappears or basically goes back to 2023, Nebula gets like pain in her head or something because Thanos is messing with it. But she then goes to say, I need to tell Nat and Clint that she's there. When she gets picked up by the ship,
why couldn't she
just press the button and go back?
I don't know.
Because there wouldn't have been a story.
Maybe.
It's got to work.
Or maybe there's something with the tractor beam.
Unless she was thinking, I need to try and stop Thanos from going and getting the Soul Stone.
Maybe.
But did she have the Power Stone? No, Rhodey had the Power Stone.
Yeah.
Because Rhodey
he went back with it.
Yeah. So the Power Stone wasn't there, so he couldn't. So Thanos could not have done anything at that stage, could he? Oh well. Anyway, Nat's death on Vormir. Didn't see it coming. Again, so many times I've said this.
It's weird because we knew where she was going and we knew what had to be done to get it.
But I thought they'd figure out a way around.
Yeah,
for a start, I wasn't 100% on which one would survive.
No.
It was like completely 50-50. Very
like,
clever writing though, because you've got two characters. If you'd put Steve and Nat there, you'd be like, Nat's dying. 100%.
Yeah.
They worked it really well.
But no, because I think the difference was he had his family. If they're successful and they get the snap back, he had his 3 kids and his wife to go back to, whereas Nat doesn't have anyone.
She's a bigger character, and
I
think
get
balanced
that,
it out.
But
I also thought they're gonna figure out a way around this.
I did.
There's gonna be some way that they're gonna end up getting the stone. Like, and when they both went off and they ended up hanging off the cliff, I was a bit like,
they've both made that leap, so
they're now both gonna get it.
Yeah,
something like that. But and I'll be honest, I was a bit gutted when she died. I'm glad we're getting a Black Widow movie, and I still think we had that hope that she'd be back at some point, but I just don't think. I think that's it.
No,
I think that's it. Now she's done. So the Avengers end up reuniting. They put together a new gauntlet which to basically wield the Infinity Stones. Hulk ends up using the stones and reverses the snap. Meanwhile, 2014 Nebula, that's the right one. 2014 Nebula brings back Thanos' army through the time travel. It's a big quantum tunnel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Through the quantum tunnel, and they basically end up destroying the compound. 2023, we'll talk about it all as we go through. 2023 Nebula and Gamora kill 2014 Nebula. That's right, isn't it? Yeah.
Did they kill her?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they shoot her. Nebula shoots her because she's about to kill Gamora. 24. Wow,
but then by killing 2014, Nebula wouldn't that?
No, because it's different timelines, isn't it?
Oh,
branch timelines.
This is why it confuses me.
You need to watch Hot Tub Time Machine, and then you'll get it. So, so 2014 Nebula's dead now.
Yeah.
And then Steve, Tony, and Thor battle Thanos. Steve ends up 1-1 with Thanos, and then ends up lifting Mjolnir to fight him, but ultimately gets beat. So let's go.
Chopping down of that shield, man.
Let's go back. Right, this is probably the first bit I've got a little bit of a problem with. Okay. No, I think I had a few problems with Endgame, and I think a few people did, which is why people don't necessarily like it as much as Infinity War. Yeah. But I don't get the snapping of the fingers.
What do you mean?
Right. So in Infinity War, Gamora says if he gets the stones, he can wipe out half the universe like that, and snaps her fingers.
Yeah.
And then Thanos later on says, if I had the Infinity Stones, I could wipe out half of the universe like that, and snaps his fingers.
Yeah.
And when he does the snap at the end, I read that as, obviously it's what happened in the comics.
Yeah.
But making it make sense, snapping his fingers, it was a bit of bravado to Thor. You should have gone to the head. Look what I can do. I'm going to snap my fingers and wipe out the universe. Whereas now it seems like the only way you can operate the Infinity Stones is by snapping your fingers, which seems like a stupid rule. You've got all these stones. Why the hell do you have to? Why do you have to snap? Well, I haven't, and it was only when I got there and I was watching it, and I was like, why'd you have to snap your fingers? Is there a mechanism built into this new nano gauntlet that it doesn't work unless you snap your fingers? Because I think it even makes sense. It even makes sense with Thanos snapping his fingers at the end and Tony. Because those could purely both be complete bravado. Thanos being like, I'm going to wipe you all out and snap your fingers. Because he's obviously done it previously. And Tony doing it like, you bastard, I'm going to get you sort of thing. But the Hulk being in that much pain with his arm and just being there, that's the only one. And I know I'm thinking far too much into it, but it just doesn't make sense why he had to snap his fingers. Why he couldn't just be like, right, I'm using them, bang, and it's gone.
Yeah, I must admit, I've never thought about it.
Do you know what I'm saying now, though?
I get what you're saying.
I'm being petty.
But I do think... I just think you've thought too much into it.
Shut up. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm on a podcast. But no, I just didn't make sense. Okay. So the best bit of the film, Cap lifting Mjolnir. I can remember this in the cinema. And I can remember I
loved Thor's.
I can remember nudging you when it was getting picked up, and we'd be like, oh, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I think, and this is gonna sound like really OTT, I can't think of a better moment in the cinema that I've seen that had me more hyped than that. It was just like, this has been built, because we've been building up to this for 10 years, and he's finally lifting it, and I can't remember ever being more excited.
Do you know what? As much as I loved that bit, I loved when he shouted, Avengers!
Yeah, that was good as well.
Assemble even more. Because it was finally everyone.
I think that was probably the second, but as I've written down, I think that's probably the second best moment I've seen in the cinema, but I think Cap lifting Mjolnir.
What I did love is the fact that the hammer's already hit the first time before it goes back to him, and that's when you see him with it.
Yeah, they did that well.
I like that you just kind of saw the hammer raised, but you didn't. I mean, you kind of knew what was coming, but you didn't see it until the first kind of blows.
It was kind of like oh, can you guess what? Can you see what's happening? Can you see what's happening? It's like, no, surely not. Because if you just picked it up, it would have just been like, oh, that's amazing, but it wouldn't have had it wouldn't have been as dramatic as it was, would it?
They should do a what if and it's Groot picking it up. Yeah, I am Groot.
Wonder if he could. He picked up Stormbreaker.
He did.
Did you have to be worthy to pick up Stormbreaker?
Maybe it was because it was part of him.
I don't think you have to be worthy to pick it up.
Well, it was his arm, wasn't it? His branch from Groot, the handle. So maybe Groot could.
Maybe. Other people have held it in the comics. I don't know exactly who, but I know other people have held it. I know other people held it in the comics. But yeah, absolutely amazing.
It was a fantastic piece of cinema, to be fair.
It was, and I wish I could unsee it.
To have that feeling again.
I'm
like that with quite a lot of stuff. I just think I wish I'd have seen that for the first time all over again.
That particularly, and I know we talk about like it being a pain in the arse sometimes going to cinemas and stuff, but it's things like this that you need to go to the cinema for, because the reaction in the cinema 100%. was amazing. And again, the fact that even when he gets beaten, like Thanos hacks the shield to pieces, and again it just shows again why he's worthy. He's got it's him on his own at that point, and he's just like, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to fight this entire army on my own. And he's not going to fight them, but he's willing to have a go at fighting them on his own.
Which is just Steve all over, innit?
Which is just exactly, that's why he's worthy though. That's why he's Cap, and that's why he can pick up Mjolnir. So as Thanos gets ready to release his army, Doctor Strange and the other sorcerers, basically open all the portals and all the restored Avengers. I love that you just
start, before you quite see it, you start to hear the noise.
And we'll break it down in a minute, but yeah, I agree. The fact, you just hear this. It's that I can't even replicate that noise, but it's that. It's the very distinct, the very distinct noise, isn't it? Yeah. So the Avengers, all the restored Avengers, all the Asgardians, all the Wakandans, and the Ravagers, all arrive to the battle. Huge battle happens, which we'll go through. Captain Marvel also ends up arriving and destroys Thanos' ship on her own. She goes 1-to-1 with Thanos as well, but ends up getting beaten, leaving Tony to grab the stones and use them to destroy Thanos and his army, killing himself in the process. I've written portal scene second best thing I've seen at the cinema, because I still think Mjolnir was better, but you are right that I think I've said this on the podcast before, when he said Avengers, and I literally, the cinema was silent, and I went, oh my god, and then he said assemble, and I can remember like people looking at me like, shut up. I couldn't hold it in though. It was like, I can't believe we're finally getting this. Even down to the moment when Sam says on your left, when he's on the mic, when he's on the walkie-talkie. That was brilliant. Pretty smart that all the walkie-talkies were on the same frequency as the 5 years ago, and they've all patched into Steve's new frequency. But yeah, it's a comic book movie, isn't it? I think we could probably spend an hour going through this battle.
Yeah.
Of all the best.
My one
the best
little
moments.
honourable mention.
What are your best bits?
So again, you have to watch it so many times just to kind of take it all in on who's there. I love that Howard the Duck turns up.
Yeah, that can't be your standout moment.
No, it's not like a standout moment, but it's just...
It is good.
I was just like, there he is. Love it.
Do you know before you were talking about Howard the Duck coming up, when it was filmed and he was replaced with CGI, Kraglin's there on a hover bike with Yondu's old Finn.
Oh, really?
And they CGI'd him out.
Why?
Don't know, but he's there. When they did all the film, I can't remember who he was with. I think he was with Valkyrie.
Yeah.
And I think he was there, and they replaced him with Asgardian soldiers. And I don't know why they would do that, but they did. Maybe James Gunn had as plans that he won't have the Finn or something. But yeah, he was in the original.
Strange.
He was in the original shot. Sorry, go on. What are your standout moments?
So again, now that I've seen WandaVision, that the part of the fight with Wanda.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat and watched it again. Obviously, we know that there's a lot to unpack with her at that moment because of what she's lost.
Yeah.
But what I did notice is that she also snaps the sword that he's got, the two-headed sword.
Yeah.
She snaps that during that bit of the fight because it gets flung out of his hand and you see it land, and the bit closest to the screen is just jagged and it's just snapped. So I was like, bloody hell, that's chomped away at vibranium, and she still managed to snap it. And that was another thing for me where it was like her strength is there, like it's amazing. Again, I love the Peter Parker bit.
What, Peter and Tony?
Him with the gauntlet trying to get it from A to B, but essentially is just being babysat by everybody else to get it from A to B.
Yeah.
Because it's not really him doing anything, is it?
He's
literally being grabbed by everyone else, bless him.
I've written that down as well, and it was an amazing, I think it was brilliant, that fact as well, but I think it just showed where we've reached comic book movies.
Also, kill mode.
That was good.
Because, and the only reason I say this is because obviously we've seen Far From Home since.
Yeah.
And he accidentally starts kill mode on the glasses, doesn't he? In that as well.
No, he does it in the first one as well, and
it's with the new suits and stuff.
Yeah, he does it in Homecoming. He accidentally, because when he goes to, he obviously does kill mode as well with the glasses.
Sorry, it's the scene with the guys in the vans.
Activating kill mode. He's like, no,
that's what I mean. So I like the fact that he activated it at the right time this time and all of that kind of stuff.
It's a little nod back to it, isn't it?
There's some people that didn't like it. I did quite like it, but
what, kill mode?
No, sorry. But I feel like it was a bit forced, and it was the moment with all the girls coming together for Peter as well.
Yeah,
I liked it. Because there was a bit of girl power in that moment, and it's, at the times that we're in and all that kind of stuff, it's a good standout point to do that. But again, it did feel a little bit forced.
It felt like it was all right. I liked the idea behind the moment. I felt like it was shoehorned in. Yeah, it was 20 seconds. And if you're going to do it properly. Yeah. And it deserved a lot more. And I get that it was potentially a tease for what's to come, which is fine. But it just felt really, really forced. Yeah. There was no build up to it.
No.
It didn't make sense because they were all of a sudden just there.
Yeah, they were all spread out through it. And you're talking like all of those portals coming across, that was like a 5-mile stretch or something. Yeah. So and about half of them were on foot.
Exactly.
So how did they get there?
And they're all just there all of a sudden.
That was the bit that I didn't like about it, but same as you, it was the idea.
The idea was brilliant, and I just wish they'd done it better because it just felt forced. Yeah, and that was the issue I had. Going back to the Peter Parker with the gauntlet, the fact that we've got in the MCU to the point where we've got Peter Parker holding the Infinity Gauntlet, riding Mjolnir. It's like, what? Can you imagine if you said to someone 15 years ago you're going to get that in a serious MCU
You're going to ride
film.
a flying hammer while holding
and it's going to be the biggest selling movie ever. It's like the fact that we've got to that stage is brilliant. I thought the first time Tony and Peter see each other as well, again going off the fact that he died in the first. Nice. I know, but it just the fact again. Tony's.
Did you know that he actually kisses him on the head as well? But they cut that bit out.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've seen the scene. Like he does this is nice, and then Tony like starts to move away and kisses him on the head, and then they kind of go back to it, and you hear the director shout cut, and I don't know why they cut that bit out.
No, because he saw him like a son, didn't he? At the end of the day, and again, it shows Tony's change from playboy to. I mean, he is but he is a dad now. But the fact that he saw, it's probably Peter who's turned him. The fact that he had the
picture of Peter in the home the whole time and stuff like that is just.
It's probably Peter, the relationship he's had with Peter, that has prepared him for being a dad and made him want to go down that route. What else did I have? I thought it was good when there's a tiny little bit with Thor and Steve when he's like, no, you take the little one, because Steve's got Stormbreaker. I thought that was really good. And then I also thought again reading into it a little bit, but when Hawkeye's running before Peter gets the gauntlet, Hawkeye's running with it, and T'Challa rolls up and he says, Clint, give it to me, because the last time they've ever spoke to each other, Clint says, hi, my name's Clint in Civil War, and T'Challa says, I don't care. And now it's like, Clint, I know you're Clint. Give it to me. And it's like, he does care.
Do you know what? I didn't even get on to
he's
that,
remembered. You've remembered his name, even though you said you didn't care. You've remembered his name.
Love it.
And then the last one is obviously Tony's death.
Yeah.
Tony's death obviously got me from like an emotional point, but that didn't really get me when it happened.
No, it was after.
It was the funeral that got me.
The funeral got. So, I cried.
No, I know,
No, I know. Yeah, I was a mess.
Loads of people did.
Right, so it hit me a couple of times, okay? So the first time was his speech as the hologram afterwards.
Yeah.
When he crouches down and says, I love you 3000, killed me. But then the other one is Happy sat outside with Morgan.
Cheeseburgers.
And he says, I'll give you all the cheeseburgers you want. And I was gone.
I know, I remember.
And it was just...
that got me, but I was I don't think I did cry, but I was on the brink when he looked at Morgan and said, I love you 3000. It still gets me now.
And
it's like that is tough. It is tough to watch.
But I loved watching, like, I just loved the fact that everybody was stood there for the funeral as well.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the funeral then. I get that it was rough, but yeah, like you said, everyone was there, even
the kid from
Iron Man 3. Yeah. I thought it was the bit where we had like the little tiny mini ceremony for Vision, and that was a bit tagged on.
Yeah.
But we've kind of got their own saying goodbye to them now, haven't we? With WandaVision and that. But yeah, it was the I Love You 3000 was horrendous to watch at the time.
Yeah.
And not so much now watching it because I've seen the film about 100 times, but even for the first few times after it, it was like, oh, I don't want to watch this bit.
Do you know what, though? This time round, because he said it before, he said, I just want to rest. And then Pepper says to him, you can rest now. And that gets me as well.
Yeah. It's horrible.
It is.
It's horrible. Good, though.
Yeah.
But it shows, again, how emotional you get off the back of...
Well, again, you've been following him for 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole thing, and then he saved everybody but is dying in the process. That if that's not hard enough, you're then watching everyone's reaction around him as well.
Yeah.
And it's just a killer.
No, it was but brilliant writing, but yeah, tough to watch. Going to the funeral then, the projection of Tony.
Yeah.
And I suppose this is talking about like the future of the MCU. Do you think it's purely a message? Or do you think because I think it's something Tony would do. Do you think Tony's uploaded his consciousness before he's gone on the mission, and we're still going to have Tony, or they're leaving it potentially for that? Because he looks Morgan dead.
I never thought about that.
He looks Morgan dead in the eye.
Yeah,
not dead in the eye. Obviously, he's dead, but he looks her right in the eye, doesn't he?
Well, he gets down to a level and everything.
He does. He even goes down to a level, and it does make me wonder: is that a message, or is it Tony Stark's consciousness? Because we're getting,
funnily enough,
we're getting more of Iron Man, aren't we? Getting Ironheart.
Yeah, there's. I've heard something mentioned where there's like a program where it's got Tony's voice on it, and I can't remember what it is or where I've heard it.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not seeing that.
No.
I know there's a toy that came out, like a figure, and I think it's just one of these like Marvel Legends figure, but it is like a hologram Tony.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or it's an Iron Man suit, but when the helmet comes off, it's a hologram of Tony's head underneath.
Oh, okay.
So I wonder whether they're like teasing it or whether they're trying to get people's opinions of it. I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is going to come back anytime soon.
No.
But I think it's a very good way. It's an easy way of leaving it open, isn't it? Yeah. Obviously, it's like Lord of the Rings. There's multiple endings. So we get Thor makes Valkyrie the new king of Asgard. I think he actually says before he goes off with the Guardians. That ending again. That there's is it in? I can't remember if it's in it or whether it's a deleted scene I saw. Does he go in for a kiss, or is that a deleted scene? I think there's a deleted scene. Or if it isn't, maybe I've imagined that, but I thought it was better. He should have. Maybe I'm just talking crap. It's 2 movies. There's a lot to remember. And then him on the ship with the Guardians, and he's having the whole banter with.
Of course
you're in charge. Of course. Brilliant. I can't wait for Thor: Love and Thunder because it's just going to be.
And they tell him to have a knife fight, don't they?
Yeah.
It's so good.
And Rocket, but the thing is, Drax and Mantis don't quite get it. They're like, oh yeah, have a fight, and Rocket like fully understands, and he's like, yeah, go on, have a fight, see who's strongest. And then we get the very final bit is when Steve returns the stones. So he goes to return the stones and Mjolnir, but he ends up staying in the past and living with Peggy. And then in the present day, Old Man Steve appears and passes the shield onto Sam. We obviously know where it goes because we've all seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Spoilers if you haven't, but yeah, you need to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier if you're listening to this. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we thought at the time how big a story we were going to get out of the handing over of the shield, but it completely makes sense. Yeah. If you want to know what we think about it, go back and listen to the Falcon and the Soldier episode. It's far too. We're 2 hours into the podcast nearly, so it's far too. That is very deep to go into for the last bit of the podcast. But yeah, brilliant. Sad as well though, because he's not died. But I mean, we don't know yet, do we? But no, it was kind of like killing him without.
But I love you're going to tell me who it is when he sees the wedding ring and he goes, "No, I don't think I will." Yeah. Because he's just happy to have.
He doesn't need to.
No,
doesn't need to.
He's really content.
Yeah. Finally, he's got what he wanted, and then we get the shot.
He spent his entire life of being back and forth and in ice and not really fitting in anywhere, and this is finally his life. Yeah, and I just love it. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. A really, really good ending, and the fact that we see him with the what? I've just thought. What? Go on. Imagine if we get a what if old Steve Rogers and Isaiah meet. That'd be good. I think we need, which I think people have said before, but I think we need to get a series with Chris Evans with Steve putting the stones back. Yeah, I'd watch that. Yeah. I'd 100% watch that. That'd be brilliant. There may be an episode where Loki bumps into Steve putting one of them back. Oh, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, well, he could. Yeah. There's been all these rumours about Chris Evans coming back. Maybe he has come back and he's done a cameo. That'd be so good if we get a little Steve cameo. Just them crossing paths and like looking at each other like, what are you? And then just like leaving it. And that's it. Just literally him making eye contact with Loki. And I'm just like... Or Steve just, is that? Because it's one of the ones that's not where it's meant to be. And he's yeah, absolutely brilliant. Maybe potential spoilers there, I suppose. Which was your... Wrap up the review because obviously it's a long review. Which is your favourite? Can you split them, or are they both just as good as each other for you? I think they're both just as good as each other. I can't say that I prefer one to the other. I prefer Endgame. Do you? But I think Infinity War was a better movie. Yeah. Because I think as much as I like Endgame, I think the second act of Endgame is a bit weak. I think the opening was the whole start of the movie's brilliant. Yeah. The whole time travel thing in the middle there was a bit like, I think it was great the first time I watched it, but going back now, it's not. I don't think it's absolutely brilliant cinema, if you want to call it that. But then the third act obviously makes up for it, but I don't think it's a strong film all the way through. No. I think it's got stronger elements than Infinity War, but I think Infinity War is solid right the way through. Yeah. Like when I watched it today, I got to the end of it and I just thought, that is perfect. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Can't fault it. Whereas I was picking holes in Endgame. But still both brilliant films. But as I said, I think Infinity War is probably a better movie, but I prefer Endgame. Should we see what our listeners thought? Yeah. Because I've asked them that. So we are on to us. We always have this segment, but
We've got a name for it. As we said at the start, Anthony's excited. I can see Anthony's
I'm
face.
so
He's
excited.
absolutely he's buzzing. So we are. It's not that good. We're overselling it. We're completely overselling it. So we did ask. I think so about the name. We did ask on Twitter, Facebook for people to give us suggestions for the name of the segment, what we should call it. We had loads of brilliant ones, and it was quite tough, to be fair, to decide on one. But we've ended up going with Pod Fans Assemble, and it was Paul Sears on Twitter who recommended the name. So thanks very much, Paul.
Cheers, Paul.
And we've got a jingle as well. Should we play the first time ever?
Let's do it.
First time ever. We're gonna play the jingle. Let's play the jingle. Let's go.
Pod
Fans Assemble.
And if you all hate it, then we won't play it again. We like it though.
I just love it.
That's all that's important. So thank you to the guys over at Myths Behind Legends podcast who put the jingle music together for us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for doing that.
Cheers, guys.
If they talk about horror, the whole horror genre, so like horror movies, horror books, and horror TV shows. So again, go and check them out if you're into that sort of stuff. Thanks for Chris Evans for doing the voiceover as well, because he did that for us. I didn't just find random clips of Chris Evans and cut them together. I promise I didn't do that. It was all had Chris Evans.
We paid
$3,000
$3,000 for a cameo of 3 words.
And it's just what he was going for when they all sounded like they were from different interviews.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. So this week for Pod Fans Assemble, that sounds weird saying that, but let's do it. This week for Pod Fans Assemble, because we were doing the 2 movies, what we asked on Twitter and Facebook was to let us know what was your favourite, which one did you prefer, and also to let us know like your favourite moments from the movie. So Anthony, do you want to go ahead and run through them?
Yeah. So on Twitter we've got @RachelBook, who said they're both so different and I love them for different reasons. Infinity War has so much comedy, plus seeing everyone together for the first time is mind-blowing. Highly quotable, we agree. Unforgettable ending, completely. Endgame is similar but more epic and emotional. I cried so much during both. Endgame probably more. Same.
I can vouch for that. I was there.
Yeah, I feel you. Then we've got at Kids Watchings, which is Kids, What Are We Watching Tonight? I personally prefer Infinity War because the Avengers lose and it wasn't set up that way. People thought they would stop Thanos or he wouldn't get all the stones. Endgame has more plot holes and annoyances the longer I think about it.
Again, we agree with what we just said.
Yeah.
Even though right at the end, how many times we thought it was going to finish and they were going to win, and then to end on that note, it was just like very surprising but brilliant.
I believe they're also from Edinburgh because they've said, oh yeah, Infinity War was shot in Edinburgh where I live, so bonus points for that.
Brilliant. Send us some pictures of the sets.
Then we've got Geeking 8. The culmination of the 10 years of the MCU was really awesome, but god damn it, Star-Lord, you ruined them winning. Also, during Iron Man's death, I loved the look on Strange's face with the whole, I know this was going to happen, but it was the only way. Yeah. Small details in both the films and culmination of 10 years of the MCU, just really, really well done. Certainly up there in my favourites. And then we've also got at Jesse Barry. Infinity War was the first MCU film I watched. Just because I'd seen everything else at the cinema, I went to watch it. I absolutely loved it, and had Bucky, Sam or Loki survived the snap, and I probably could have lived with that ending. The eerie silence at the end was haunting.
It was. I'm amazed at the fact that that's the first MCU movie she's watched.
I know. I'm quite shocked at that.
I have spoke to Jessica on Twitter. She's watched all the rest of them in a week, and then went back to watch Infinity War again.
Amazing.
Completely hooked after that one movie.
I mean, understandable then.
Yeah.
We've also then got at Varentet, who has basically just showed us the picture of Steve when he first holds the hammer.
Best moment.
Yeah, Dick's favourite moment.
And Stephanie's as well.
And Stephanie's, yeah. So then we've also got some Facebook. So we've got Tom. Endgame, funnier, more memorable moments. We've got Beth, who said that Infinity War is superior in every way. For me, Endgame was a massive disappointment. Its only redeeming feature was the third act. I'm a bit mind blown at that, to be honest. I didn't expect that response.
I agree with the fact that the third act is brilliant.
Yeah.
But I don't think personally for me it wasn't a disappointment.
Yeah.
I still came away thinking that was brilliant.
I think there's like a general opinion with people in general.
A general opinion with people in general.
Is that what I've just said?
Yeah.
I apologise. is that a lot of people tend to think that it's a cop out when you use
time travel.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
It is a bit.
It is, and because it's like, how else are you going to fix it? Oh, time travel.
The thing is, we've now got time travel in the MCU.
Yeah.
So anytime any bad guy wins, it just sort of takes away the pressure, doesn't it?
And the finality of things as well.
Yeah. So basically, if Galactus rolls up and kills everyone, as long as one of them survives, you can just go in the quantum tunnel and go back and say, don't do that.
Exactly. Then we've got Sean, who said, I'd say I prefer Infinity War as a film overall. Haven't ever been that emotionally impacted by a Marvel film, but Endgame had several moments that I audibly cheered at. When Cap lifts the hammer, and I literally have Portals by Alan Silverstreet on my workout playlist, and it chills me every time. Love it.
It is a proper tune, to be fair.
So,
is that us?
That's all of them, yeah.
Thank you very much to everybody who got involved and being part of the first ever Podfans Assemble. That still feels weird. It might be called something different next week if everybody hates it, but yeah. No, it's not. We're sticking with it. Sticking with that, aren't we?
Podfans Assemble is awesome.
Podfans Assemble. If next week everybody tweets us their theories and stuff with the hashtag Podfans Assemble.
Yeah.
Let's make it stick. Let's get it out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that on Twitter. Right, should we wrap up?
Yes.
Fantastic. Right, so if you want to get in touch with us and give us theories, thoughts, anything like that, as we said, you can get in touch with us on Twitter. We are at Superhero Thing on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. Just search for that Superhero Thing. There's also a group that we have on there where a lot of the theories and thoughts have come from. Me and Anthony are always on there, as we say, so go on there, leave your thoughts, get involved in the chats and the discussions, and you obviously have a chat with us guys as well. We are also on Instagram, that Superhero Thing. We're on TikTok at Superhero Thing if you want to see Anthony's videos, which are boss. I don't get TikTok, but they are good. I like them. Alternatively, you can email us at info@thatsuperherothing.com, or you can just go to the website, thatsuperherothing.com. All the social media links are on there. There's also a contact us page as well, where you can leave us a voice message and we can include it in the show. As we said at the start of the show, thank you for everybody who is listening. If you do enjoy the podcast, it'd mean the world to us if you would leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts, if it'll let you leave reviews there. I don't think it lets you leave reviews on Spotify.
No, I don't think so.
If you can't leave us one, again, thanks very much for listening. If you can leave us one somewhere, though, obviously massively appreciated. Before we go then, next week, Loki Takeover. Even though we're in the Loki Takeover, it feels like the proper start to the Loki Takeover because we finished the countdown and we are into
Essentially, it's new Loki week next week.
It's new Loki week next week. It's brilliant. It doesn't feel. It's great that it doesn't feel that long since we've had new MCU and now we're getting straight into it. So yeah, that's going to be brilliant. We're going to stick with the Friday releases for now.
Yeah,
we possibly will go back to the Sunday releases. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know what you prefer, the Friday releases or the other Sunday releases. Obviously, because we want to make sure that we're doing what you guys want to hear as well. But other than that, again, join us next week. And from me, thanks very much for listening.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.